I tell you guys sometimes that it's really Streamlabs can really be a pain in the butt. Hey everybody, sorry about a couple minutes late there. For some reason my Streamlabs froze up and I had to go ahead and close it down and start it back up again. You know me, I'm always having a technology problem of one kind or another. But it's very good to see you all in here. Uh, see a lot of fun people there, but yeah, it's what had happened was I was trying to change the video because the last few times I've done this live streams, we've had these eyes looking all around the place, which I've liked. But I took a video of Ichigo hiding behind a crate, which I thought was really cute, and I wanted to use that as a background, but I couldn't get that to happen. Whenever I kept trying to do it, the Streamlabs would freeze up. So I spent the last 20 minutes trying to whatever I can to get that video in there, and then it froze up around 7:08. So I went ahead and did a closing. I closed it, and then I tried to open it again, and it wouldn't open. And so I looked into the task manager, saw the background processes, so I had to stop those, and then I had to try to start it up again. So that's why I'm a few minutes late. That was really the way I wanted to start the video. What I really wanted to do, and maybe I'll do this next time, is I wanted to start the video playing the theme, the Alfred Hitchcock theme, and I wanted to go after it was over playing. I wanted to say good evening, but because of the technical difficulties, I wasn't able to do that. So we got a lot of people here I want to say hi to. I hope I can say hi to everybody. Hi, Christine. Nice to see you. Hi, that car girl. Evil Black Cat's here. Hello. Hey, Chrissy Geyer. Hope you're doing good. Sarah Lee. Hello. Uh, if I pronounce this wrong, forgive me. Jirokas, I hope. Hello, but hello to you too. Wasabi, my good friend Wasabi, who plays Words with Friends with me all the time, and for some reason, even though I think English is the second language for you. I'm thinking, but she still kicks my butt like all the time in Words with Friends. I think she beats me much more than I beat her ever at it. Julie Stover, hello, nice to see you. Me reacting, hi. We got Midnight Story Productions. I hope you're doing good. Asylum Color Cat, I like that name. Hi. Bravo One and Floyd Jones. If I missed you, say something in the chat and I'll respond and say hi. I like saying hi to everybody that shows up, but it's I really, 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 really wanted to start with that Alfred Hitchcock thing, so I'm gonna try that again next time I do this and see if I could get it to work. That was uh I would really like to be able to do maybe a video with the little face and the sketch of the Alfred Hitchcock face, and maybe with a shadow of me or walking into it. That'd be fun. Brutally honest. Hello, Seth Counts. Hey, hi, hi from Virginia. Hi from Tennessee. Hey, Patty Hoskins. Okay, it's pronounced Jerokas. I get that a lot. Oh, Jerokas. I think that's right. Jerokas then, because of the E. But anyhow, hello. Now that I got all that stuff out of the way, I promised to tell everybody what all went on with me the other day, and it's something that we still have absolutely no idea what had happened. Uh, I was having a pretty good day on Friday. I was working on a video. It was on Friday. I had a lot to do though too. I had to go to the clinic because I needed refills on my medications. I take a lot of medications, but I needed to get my refills on them, so I had to go to the clinic, which went perfectly fine. Um, then I had, although my blood pressure was high again, I have a history of high blood pressure, and I'm on two medications for it, but it still got high. So they put me on a new medication. So now I'm on three of them. We don't know why it's like this, but it's always been like this. For some reason, I don't know, maybe for some reason it just works differently for me. I have no idea. A quick hello to Jeffrey Folk, I think. I love your videos. Thank you very much. And Claire Strange, my good friend. I like to see you too. Not alone with the high blood pressure. Is that what you mean? Yeah, it's it's always been with me. Every time I've had to go to the hospital for anything, first thing they do, check my blood pressure. You have high blood pressure. So it's always been like that. I don't know. Maybe my body works differently, uh, or something. I don't know. But other than that, the clinic thing went fine. They called in my medications to the pharmacy, and it always takes them like forever to do it. And it was kind of cold, and it was actually there were some light flurries outside, so I thought I'd just walk around town. And I did walked around town. I was hungry, and so I thought maybe I would stop. I didn't tell Evil Black Cat this. She'll probably get mad at me. But I knew I was going to be out for a few hours, and I was really hungry. I had a couple dollars left over because the clinic didn't charge me. They charged me as if I met my deductible for the year already. My deductible is $185. So usually the first two times I go to the clinic during the year, I got to pay 85. I got to pay $85. But they only charged me 21, so it was like a co-payment as if I'd met my deductible. I know they'll screw it up in the future and they'll figure it out, and I'll have to pay it. But I have to back pay it. But I decided at that point, hey, who cares? I'm gonna go get something to eat. Well, most of the restaurants in town, of course, are only drive-through. There are a few that let you go in and sit down and eat. Uh, but I thought, well, maybe I'll go to Subway. I'll have something really quick. So I walk over to Subway, and they are only accepting cash. Not only I had cards on me at the time, so I'm like, so I wanted to go to a place where I could that had an ATM I could use that wouldn't charge me a fee. So I decided to walk to Walmart. Living in a more rural area, Walmart is such the place here. I mean, they're always packed. People go there for just about everything. There'll be people selling stuff or selling animals in the parking lot. It's like one of those hangout Walmarts. It's always full. And I go there, and the parking lot is almost completely empty. There are a lot of cars off to the side. All the employee parking part is filled, but there was like three or four cars, which was a really weird thing. So I walked to the area and thought, well, I don't know what's going on, but there were some cars pulling in, so I thought I'll see what they do. I'm not gonna walk. I don't want to walk up to the store if it's closed. So there were cars driven up to the Walmart, and they were driving away. I thought, well, something's going on here. This is very strange. So I mentioned it to Evil Black Cat, and she said that was weird too. And she looked it up and said that they were doing a cleaning, an emergency cleaning from 2 p.m. that day until 7 a.m. on Sunday. Now keep in mind this was something that happened immediately. They didn't tell anybody about this. And apologies to say hello to Big Kev. It's nice to see you. It has been a while. I'm glad to see you, and I love you too, man. Uh, I think I have a different phone number from the last time that we talked, so it might be better to send me an email or a message, or I give you the number right now, but kind of not able to do that at the moment. But goodbye, man. Goodbye, man. Now, I want to say too that this is a town where a lot of people are somewhat, what do I say, not taking a lot of the COVID stuff seriously. And there are tons of people at Walmart who walk around with no mask. And I'm not making any political statements, so everyone who watches my videos knows I support the mask thing because I put all of the masks for my video. I don't press them on anybody. I just say it's a good idea. It doesn't happen a lot in this town, and my mind started turning around at that point. And oh, pause just for a second. Hello to Emily, B Humphreys, Chrissy Gaio, and hello to my good friend Chimera Cat. Meow back to you. So I started wondering if maybe something happened at the Walmart. Maybe there was some sort of COVID outbreak, or maybe, we did have somebody at this Walmart back in April of last year go around coughing on people and telling them he had COVID, and of course he was arrested. But I kept thinking about that. I wonder if something was going on, and I thought, well, I'll find out later. I thought my sister and my mom were at the Walmart the previous day, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not gonna think of that. Uh, Cool Hand Luca, I live in Paris, Tennessee right now. I'm not really from Paris, Tennessee. I'm from Chicago, but I've been here for a while. But Chicago, I still consider to be my home. Goodbye. Hello to Tammy Garcia. Oh, to go on though, so I checked the CVS app on my phone, and CVS had not finished my pills yet. I'm like, oh well, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And Evil Black Cat wanted me to pick up some lettuce and some tomatoes. I remember that, so I'm gonna walk down to Kroger. So I walked down to Kroger, la 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 la. Needless to say, Kroger's parking lot is completely and utterly packed. Completely utterly packed. Hey, it's Brad Smith. Everyone say hello to my good friend Brad Smith. He's one of the two good friends who went to Waverly Hills with me a few years ago. We had our little fun adventure. It's always great to see a good friend like you, Brad. So I go into the Kroger, and I was just in awe of how packed it was. I mean, the Kroger has never been like that. I've been here for 7 years, and it was the lines for the registers were going down the aisles, and I was like, wow. Uh, so I only needed to get lettuce and tomatoes. So I go over and I get a bag of lettuce, and I look, and as far as tomatoes go, they had almost nothing. I had to get some. I don't know what you call them. It was like a strangely shaped tomato. Evil Black Cat would know what they are. But they were weird looking, but they felt fine as far as I know. I'm not good at picking up produce, but um, the to wait in line at that point. But then I thought, my pills still aren't ready, so um, it doesn't matter to wait in line. So I'll wait in line, dooby 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 doo. Although funny thing, there was this teenage boy in front of me buying two bunches of bananas in a National Geographic, and I was like thinking to myself, that's like an odd combination of things to buy. Um, I don't know why, but it struck me as very strange. Two bunches of bananas and a two bunches of banana and a National Geographic. I mean, if you're gonna eat bananas and read National Geographic, I guess that would be interesting. Hey, it's Jonathan Alexander. Killer Orange Cat. My name's Killer Cat. Oh, I'm here to say I'm the spookiest YouTuber in the USA. Oh, that's like the master rapper from my favorite Fruity Pebbles. I'm the master rapper, and I'm here to say I love Fruity Pebbles in a major way. And that's all I'm gonna do. I'm stopping right now. I'm going back to my story. Don't grocery shame me. um, no, I just thought it was weird. I mean, my really, I thought maybe he was buying them for like his grandpa or something. Read National Geographic, something like that. I don't know. But I got out of the out of the Kroger, and I checked my app, and I got some. I was at Kroger. I was able to get some cash so I could go get something to eat finally. Because at this point, I'm starving to death, and it's I mean I'm really really hungry. So I'm walking around, and there's this place here that we really like called Prater's Taters that has these huge potatoes, and they'll make them all sorts of stuff. They make this chicken bacon ranch potato that I really like, but I would not do that. I really really wanted it, but I would not do that because Evil Black Cat was sitting at home with the cats, and I would not go and eat at a place like that. Um, if she wasn't able to come there with me, I would think that would be rude. And so I didn't eat there. And I walked along further, and my favorite restaurant, there's a Chinese restaurant, and it's like half Chinese, half Japanese. It's owned by some Japanese people, which my interest in that. But they have a Chinese buffet and a hibachi, and there's no way in hell I was going to go there because I love it too much. And if I went home and said, hey, Christina, I just ate at Oishi. It's called Oishi. She'd probably kill me. So it's like, where can I go to get something to eat that when I tell Evil Black Cat that I went there, she wouldn't get mad at me because she wasn't able to come along. So I went to Subway, which lately Subway has not been her favorite place in the world. So I thought I'll just go there. So I get myself a, a wrap there, and I sit down and eat. I keep checking my checking my app to see when my pills are done. I'm like, I'm eating slowly to give CVS time, and it's still not happening. So after I'm done eating, I'm like, I'm just gonna walk there and say, hey guys, can you do my pills now? So I finally get done and I walk there, and I talk to them. I say, I had a certain way of doing it because I didn't want to just go up there and say, hey guys, can you get my pills ready? So what I did was is that I went there and I said I didn't want to pick up one of the pills at the time. I don't really need this one right now. And then they knew I was there, so they got them ready. Oh, thank you, my good friend Claire Strange, donating $9.99 to the channel. Hope this helps with CVS purchases. It'll probably help mostly with cats because we usually spend all we usually take the donated money and we buy more food or uh, toys or anything that the cats need. So whenever people donate, it always goes to the kitties. But I'm sure they would appreciate it if they were sentient enough to understand. But thank you very much, Claire. You're a great friend. But okay, but to continue the story, because it goes on and on a bit, I sit there for a while, and finally they get my bills done, and I'm rather happy about that. So now I thought, okay, it's really cold outside. I could call myself a cab, but then I sit there and I think, nah, I'm just gonna brave it and walk home. So, Tammy Garcia, thank you, $2. I appreciate that, and the kitties appreciate it too. Thank you very much. That's really cute, the little animated kitty there. But anyhow, I decided to walk home. And as I'm walking home, I walk by the liquor store in town. Now, I think I've mentioned this in previous streams that, uh, and she's usually, there's a girl that you may have, a lady that you may have seen in my chat before. Her screen name is Liquor Store Girl. And just because she works at the liquor store, and she, uh, other than my sister, she's really the only person I really consider a friend in Paris. And she works Monday through Friday, and her car wasn't at the liquor store. So then I start worrying about her. And I'm already worried about the Walmart, thinking maybe there's a COVID thing going on. And so I think at this point I'm walking, and I got all these thoughts in my head just jumbled together. So I'm just thinking about everything. It's about the walk from the CVS back to my house is probably about 40-45 minutes. So all the stuff is going on in my head, and I I finally get home, and I decided that I was going to work on a video. And, I haven't had a whole lot of them out. I'm spending kind of once a week. I'm doing a couple other things that kind of have been getting in the way, which I apologize for. But I'm also writing a book with a friend, so there's a lot of writing going on. But I sat down to work, and I was having a really great day. A really great day. Uh, I took my epilepsy medicine, and I think I've mentioned this to you guys before. If I run out of it, and I did run out of it, when I get it back the first day, it it gives me this nice little kind of ooh fuzzy feeling for a little while, and I really like that. So anyhow, I'm having a great day. I decided to play World of Warcraft a bit. That's, as some of you know, my mom. My mom, who is, if I'm not mistaken, is turning 63 this year, is a huge World of Warcraft fanatic. Um, and I'm trying to get my character up so I could do stuff with her and things. And my character will eventually be better than hers, and it will eventually be better than Evil Black Cats, and everybody knows it because I always make them better, and then my family gets mad at me. But the so I play a game of that, and it's going really good, and then all of a sudden I get this pain. I had a pain in around my the back of my left kidney the other day, but I thought it was like a strained muscle. Um, I'll take a pause here to say hello to a couple of people. Uh, Prepper Confidential. Hi guys, long time sub, first time chat. Do the time difference. Well, I'm great. I'm happy to see you here. Hello to Cable Mitchell. Hello to John Carmichael. I'm about to head to sleep, but I want to say I hope you're okay, man, and I'm a big fan. I'm doing great right now, and thank you very much for being here and saying hello. No, she was born in 60. She was born in 59, wasn't it? Or 57? She was born in 57, so I'm sure that you're right, 64. So, yeah, I was wrong about my mom. Don't tell her that. Oh, she doesn't really care, but the, I'll tell you about what was going on. The pain spread to my upper back, and then after a while, it spread around to my chest, and it was really, 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 really hurting. Um, and I really didn't know what was going on. I, I, it went from my chest then to like right below my sternum. I thank you, Elmi Alucard, for the donation. I appreciate it, and so does Evil Bat Cat and the kitties. Thank you very much. It means a whole lot. Like my logo, yes. So, but to continue, yeah, thank you again, Emily. That means a whole lot to us. Well, I don't know necessarily at the time what I was going to do. My first thought was just go to bed and you'll feel better in the morning. And I rolled over on my side, and then it started hurting more. So I rolled over on my other side, and it was hurting. And I didn't know what to do, so I got up and went into the other room my sister was in, and it was agonizing. It was absolutely agonizing. It got worse and worse. It got so bad that I curled up in a ball on the floor and I actually cried a bit. That's how painful it was. And I go through a lot of pain sometimes. Uh, I have broken bones. I've had all sorts of things. I'm a pretty tough guy when it comes to physical pain, and it was just killing me. So my sister called an ambulance. The ambulance came, and one of the main reasons we did this was because a little bit over 2 years ago, my brother was having similar pains, and my mom had asked him if he wanted to go to the hospital, and he said no, and he passed away in his sleep that night. And as my mom had told me before, um, she's always said to me, she said very strongly to me, you have to make sure you're taking care of yourself because I don't have any room for more urns on my mantle. And I'm like, well, that's a good point. So they get me into the ambulance, and first off, let me say, the people in the ambulance were kind of irritating to me. Oh, thank you, Jonathan Alexander, 9.99. Have a good night, KFC. Well, if you're going, you have a good night too, my friend. It's always wonderful to see you here, and thanks for helping us and the cats out. We appreciate it really, really, really much. And I'm really glad to see you got a different picture on your profile than usual. I'll have to take a closer look at that later. But thank you, man. It's always good to see you, and hope I can keep talking to you soon. Well, I drink a lot of sparkling water, and they were trying to tell me that sparkling water, that's probably all that's wrong with you. You probably it's got some gas from, uh, drinking sparkling water. It's like no, 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 that's not gonna happen. I'm sorry, I've been drinking sparkling water for years, and nothing like that has ever happened before. And besides, if sparkling water is gonna make me burp, I just do it. Sparkling water is not going to be like that. And I even try. I mean, when I'm like at the hospital or with people like that, I always try to tell some jokes to kind of like ease tension, and they were just kind of being dicks about it. And finally they took me to the hospital, and they no, bye Caleb. I hope you have a great night. Thanks for showing up. But yeah, they it's nice meeting you too. The Now I understand that people at the hospital is busy and doing their job, but even some of the people at the hospital were incredibly rude. I'm lying there in absolute utter pain, moaning, groaning, can barely concentrate. And of course, the woman comes in and fills out the form and is asking me for my insurance information. And I'm like, I don't have my insurance card on me right now. And she's giving me an attitude about it. It's like, oh, I'm really sorry. Do you realize that I'm hurting here? This is the worst physical pain I've ever been in my entire life, and you think I'm worried about a freaking insurance card? I will give you the insurance information after I get home and I'm not in agonizing pain anymore. And it's like, I mean, don't put up with shit. I don't put up with shit and attitudes when I'm not feeling agonized. I definitely am not going to put up with it when I'm sitting here in agony and all this freaking bitch cares about is the insurance card. I mean, they just say, okay, give it to us later. I can't believe you didn't get it. Sorry, I don't mean to be mean like that, but that really pissed me off. Oh, thank you, John Carmichael, for the donation. If you're going to sleep too, good night. Thank you for showing up, and we really appreciate it. You have a wonderful night. Oh, well, anyhow, they do some things. Do an EKG. They say my EKG is fine. They put a what they call a nitroglycerin patch over my heart, and they were saying that if that took the pain away, that meant something was wrong with my heart. Well, it did not take the pain away. I'm still in utter and freaking agony. So they take me and they do some X-rays. They don't find anything on the X-rays. Then they take me and they do a CAT scan, and actually, it was the first time I've had CAT scans before. It's the first time ever that the nurse that was doing it called it a CAT scan, because it's not a CAT scan, it's a CT scan. Um, like, have you ever done one of these before? And like, yes, plenty of times. Uh, I've even had MRIs. I know how it works. But so they do the CT scan. They didn't find anything because they thought at that point it might be kidney stones. because I have kidney stones occasionally, and the pain was very similar to a kidney stone pain, but there were no kidney stones. So they still didn't find anything. And I sit there again for the next 2 hours in a dark room by myself in complete and utter agony. And I mean, rolling back and forth, moaning, groaning, just feeling absolutely awful. And wondering what the hell is going on and looking at the clock to see how long I've been laying there, and with no one coming and telling me anything, no one giving me any medication for the pain, and nothing like that. Stop and pause to say thank you, Randoms Videos, for the donation. Um, I'm doing really good right now, and I thank you for asking, and thank you for donating to the channel. Us and the cats really appreciate it. I'll say a nice hello to H. McNorton, Amy Newson, hello there. Lorraine DeJong. I got sick this week also, I get it. I'm sorry to hear that. I really sorry to hear that. Now, after about 2 hours, they come in and they're going to give me something for pain. Now, first they wanted to give me morphine. Now, don't get me wrong. I've always been curious what it's like to get morphine. Um, really, it's like I mean, I don't, not the type of person who would do a whole lot of stuff like that. But you know, one time it would be really interesting to see what it's like. But I also just recently took my I took a few extra of my gabapentin when the pain was starting, because you know, gabapentin does work usually also as a pain reliever. So I took a couple more than I usually do to try to calm the pain. Gabapentin and morphine are not two things you want to take very close together. So I'm like, no, I can't take that, and explained why. So, because of taking the gabapentin earlier, I missed my opportunity to see what morphine's like. Uh, I'm young enough that maybe I'll get hurt in the future, and I'll be able to see it again then. But hey Megan, hope you're doing great, and I'm glad you like my videos, and I appreciate your concern there. Thank you very much. So what they do is they go and they give me something. It starts with the T. One of the people, when I posted in the community about this medication, somebody, I didn't remember what it was called, but somebody had said what it probably was, and they were right. It starts with the T, and according to them, it doesn't make you high, but it took the pain away like that. And here I am sitting there in the bed, about to get discharged, thinking, why the excuse my language, but why the fuck did you let me lay here for 2 hours? 2 hours with no one coming in and talking to me, no one doing this, and this hospital was not busy. There was only about a few other people there, and there was lots of nurses and doctors there. They were not overloaded or anything. Why didn't you just give me this medication 2 hours ago? And I was just really freaking irritated at that point. So I went through the whole process, got checked out, and then went outside and waited for my mom was going to come pick me up, so I didn't have to walk home. It was pretty cold. But yeah, it's the whole thing was just I mean, the pain was bad enough, but there was a certain level of incompetence at the hospital, in my personal opinion. Now, I'm not a doctor of medication, doctor of psychology, but I've been in hospitals plenty of times. I've even dated doctors in the past, and been in the hospital a lot. And the incompetence was just amazing to me. Yes, Toradol, that is what it was. Kuji, KOC, sorry you had to go through that. Thank you very much. It is a bad hospital, which is unfortunate because it's a college hospital. It's Bethel University, which is actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, a pretty well known university hospital. But it irritated me. I mean, I've been don't get me wrong. A lot of the hospitals I've been to are really good. Like UW Madison is one of the best hospitals in the United States, uh, and I've been there quite a bit. But this one just drove me freaking crazy. But here, there's something else too, and this is the thing that kind of screws with me a little bit more than anything else. Don't you think that in this time period, with everything that's going on, that the very first thing they would do when I got there would be to give me a COVID test? I mean, I'm getting a lot of the pains that I've had when I look them up are COVID symptoms. Uh, Evil Black Cat had a problem with her smell and her taste on the same day. COVID symptom. I told them that, and they didn't give me a COVID test. And I'm just like, I don't. I'm just. It boggles my mind. You would think that would be the very first thing they would do during a freaking pandemic. So I can admit that me and my sister can sometimes be slight hypochondriacs, but still, it seems to me it would just be the smartest thing to do, and they didn't do it. Now, after they gave me that medicine, that Toradol, those pains have not come back, and that was, sheesh, Saturday morning, I guess. Seems like a lot longer ago than that, but it just boggles my mind. And the local newspaper got in touch with the Walmart asking what was going on. And they said it was a routine clean, that all Walmarts across the country are doing it. That may be true, it may not be true. But they didn't say that to the newspaper. They're like, no comment, no comment, no comment. I'm like, you know, you need to comment. If there was a COVID outbreak at the store, you need to comment that to the newspaper to tell them so people that were there know about it. But no comment, no comment, no comment. And it's just like, the whole thing was so bizarre to me and, in my personal opinion, incompetent. But then again, I'm not a medical professional. That's just my opinion. But, you know, as a patient, I think I can have an opinion about it. But, and like the Evil Black Cat says, if that was true, then why did they happen without warning? They said it was a scheduled cleaning, but the thing was, it wasn't scheduled. They didn't have. I was there the previous day. My mom and sister were there the previous day. They didn't have any signs or anything on their website saying the store will be closed at this period of time. There was absolutely no warning. They just closed. So, and there were there were people who had orders that were going to be delivered that day. If it was a scheduled closing, when they placed the order, wouldn't they have said, "Oh, we're going to be closed that day to do a scheduled cleaning"? It doesn't add up, and I'm becoming a lot less trustworthy of that because are simple things you can do, you know, and just be honest. Let people know what's going on in the town. It's the least that you could do for anybody. And thanks, Brad. I am feeling better, and I appreciate the good comment. And I'm gonna say a quick hi to my friend Brett. Doing pretty good. I'm feeling great tonight. And thank you for asking. Toradol is good shit. It took away the pain immediately. I mean, I guess that makes sense since it was an injection. But yeah, I've been like talking nonstop here. I gotta find where I put my water bottle. I'm starting to get very thirsty. But yeah, so I waited out in the cold for about 20 minutes for my mom to show up. Nothing against her. That was my choice. I don't mind the cold. I actually enjoy it. So she picked me up and took me home and stopped at the gas station. Because at that point I was really craving Pib. If people don't know, that's my favorite soft drink. I like Pib. I liked it more when it was Mr. Pibb. And then they decided to call it Pib Extra. I kind of wish I knew why they did that. Uh, but I like Pib, so got a Pib. It was nice, and I got my sister some donuts, and I got me some of those orange Hostess cupcakes because I was pretty darn hungry. And the that's the story. Um, After I got home, I was really exhausted, so I kind of relaxed in my bed. I looked around on my computer a little bit, and I finally went to sleep. And I was going to do a stream last night, but when I woke up, it was like 11 p.m. And I thought, if I do a stream now, a lot of people are not going to be able to make it. So I scheduled again for tonight, and here we are. So is Pib like Fago or Coke? It's kind of like a really, really sweet Dr. Pepper. I mean, if you made Dr. Pepper sweeter than it is, that's kind of what Pib tastes like to me. But maybe a little less. Dr. Pepper also has sort of a tiny bit more of a kick to it than Pib. But yeah, like Dr. Pepper, but more sweet. But it's my favorite. I love it. I got to say hi to Bruce Wayne there. Good to see you here. Welcome to 2021. How the newest kittens are doing? Oh, they're all doing good. Just hanging out, doing their thing, ruling the house, making evil Black Cat their slave. And that's what they do. But yeah, all the times are kind of like flowing around in my head right now about the last few days are kind of muddled. But did they shrink your orange cupcakes? Ours are smaller. They might be. I don't eat stuff like that very often, so it's Hostess stuff. I may have once or twice a year. There, I don't really know how to describe them. It always seems when I eat a Hostess stuff that I'm not really eating food. I'm eating something, from a lab or something. I don't know. They always make me feel weird, but I really, really wanted them that day. And what I really wanted was some chicken tenders, but it was like 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's one of those gas stations that has one of those crunchy chicken setups. So, and I really like the gas station. The people are very nice. So, hey, John. Hey, how you doing tonight, John? A really good friend who's I will be really happy to see. It's nice to see you here. Me, as I said, I'm doing great. I have no pain right now. I feel somewhat energetic, somewhat nice. I'm really feeling great at the moment. So to continue though, I don't know. I mean, the Walmart thing, it just kind of weirded me out, I guess, is all I can really say. Now, I was supposed to go visit somebody for a few days today, but he kind of stopped talking to me. I wasn't expecting really to be home right now. I was expecting to do the stream from his house, but I was going to be there for a few days. My friend who works on a horse farm. I think some of you may remember a few months ago I posted a short video of horses walking around, or I used that for a background in one of my videos. And the horses are fun. I wanted to see them again, but it may be a little while for that. And that brings us up to right now. And that has been my exciting few days. And they this coming week, yeah, I get paid this week. That's always a good day too. And whenever I get paid, we go to Murray, Kentucky, and we do our shopping at the Walmart there, uh, because they don't have food taxes and they're really close. And besides, it's a nice place. I mean, I'd rather much live there than here. Uh, there are just things about Paris that I really don't like. There are a few things that I do, but it's there's a lot of rude, inconsiderate people here. Bad drivers. Uh, I've been I mentioned this in previous streams, but I've been very close to hit by cars several times. In fact, I did get slightly touched by a car once the first year I was here. I was just walking, and rather than stop and let me continue through the driveway opening, he's like, "I'll just run right into you," and he got his fender kicked in. And I figured then they just drove away. I figured he wasn't going to do anything about that because he was the one he just hit me with his car. And there was a time where a guy was making a really fast, sharp left turn, and I got up on the someone's yard to get away from him, but his car swerved into the yard, and I had to jump. It was like being in an action movie. I had to jump out of the way to keep the car from just like plowing over me. And this has happened no less than 10 times since I've been here. And it just baffles me, you know. Now, I mean, me and Evil Black Cat don't live in the greatest neighborhood. There are a lot of drunks, a lot of people who do drugs, heavy drugs in this area. There's a lot. I mean, we live close to several drug dealers. It's they do their thing. I don't do anything, but yeah, uh, there was, if I'm not mistaken, there not not in the very far past. There was in fact, it might have just been within the last few months. I'm not sure. Um, uh, a, a transgender guy was murdered. I don't really know the details on it. The liquor store girl who, I go in the liquor store and I talk to her all the time, had told me about it, and I hadn't seen it on the news or anything, but it's just not. It's not the worst place, but and we don't have problems. I mean, we've had a couple problems. There was after after my brother passed away, a friend of his who was a drug dealer tried to break into my house. So I had to go out and went out and bought a stun gun, and it so I carry the stun gun with me everywhere. I think people might remember the time that I talked about when I was walking and I went to our local Dollar Tree and I bought some stuff and I left. I was walking down the street and I kept on hearing this guy going, "Hey, hey!" I didn't pay attention to it at first because I don't know anybody and no one's gonna be talking to me. Hey, hey, over and over again. And finally looked back and there was this homeless guy who was accusing me of trying to steal things from him, which was just bizarre. And I tried to ignore him, and he actually tried to attack me, and which would have been a really bad idea for him. And ended up calling the police on him. He hasn't bothered me since, but yeah, I'm gonna steal a homeless guy's backpack because that's just what I do, isn't it? I'm a homeless backpack stealing kind of guy. What's my job? Well, I kind of like this being my job, but it hasn't quite reached that level yet. I do get a decent amount of revenue from YouTube. Other than that, I am a psychologist. But what I do is I translate journal articles from Japanese into English. But they're psychology journal articles, so not everyone can just do that. And I get paid a certain amount of money per article. and then I do YouTube, and that's pretty much it. So I work at home, which I can admit is pretty good thing. I would really like to do less of the articles and more YouTube though. It kind of have to get myself positioned for that. It's hard to turn something away that is definite money that I get because I never know if I stop translating articles and I concentrate more on YouTube, who knows how successful I'll be. But I would like to do YouTube more because of all of you, number one, and because I just have always enjoyed doing this. Even though my production values aren't very great, it's nice to have a decent audience and a lot of friends in the community. One of my responsibilities as a psychologist, I don't really have any responsibilities. Um, I just translate articles, and they, I mean, being a psychologist, I'm able to understand the articles written in a written in Japanese, but written as an academic journal article. But that's all I do is translate the articles, and other than that and YouTube, and that's pretty much what I do. But I do have to go over the articles several times to make sure that they are correct because a lot of times when you're translating something from Japanese to English, you can lose something. So I can't really do that with an academic article. You got to make sure that everything is right. So, but it's not the most thrilling thing in the world, but I could say that I do enjoy doing it. Damn, I hope it wasn't the kid who worked at the Dollar General. She was nice. I don't know if it was. I haven't talked to Christy. I sent her the liquor store girl. I sent her a message a few days ago, uh, or yesterday, and haven't heard back from her yet. So, oh, I think I mentioned that before. I didn't tell all of the story. There was one part of the story I didn't tell. I had mentioned to you that when I was walking by the liquor store, her car wasn't there, and of course that kind of freaked me out with everything that was going on at the Walmart, at the Kroger, uh, and then to see her car gone, which her car is always there. She does. I mean, she's one of the hardest working people I ever know. She pretty much runs the liquor store herself and does everything in it because of the employees. She says, no, I don't. I shouldn't go into that, but she does a lot of work herself and she works hard. And so I was like starting to think, oh my god, I hope she didn't get COVID or something. Because with what's going on at Walmart, I got COVID on the mind when I'm walking home. Fortunately, she didn't. Unfortunately, I think her husband broke his leg, so she had to take him to the hospital, which is why she wasn't there. I guess I really shouldn't have said that because it's none of my business to give out that information. But uh, and that is a bad thing that he broke his leg. But I was really happy that uh, she didn't have COVID or anything like that, or nothing bad happened to her because she is a good friend, a good person, and she's Evil Black Cat's biggest fan on her channel. So she always watches all of my sister's videos and always says, when's your sister coming out with a new video?" Um, hey, I was wondering if you were getting my messages. I started being able to do this. Would you be able to let me know because I'm blind? Where did you send me messages at? If it was my email, I haven't been on there in a few days, because of what's been going on with me at the hospital and stuff. After I'm done with the stream here, I'll go ahead and I'll check into the emails and see what about I can get back to you if you've been sending me emails. What's your favorite Billy Joel song? I have them. Love them all, but "We Didn't Start the Fire" is my all-time favorite. Sheesh, my favorite Billy Joel song. That's a hard one. Whew. Probably "Scenes from an Italian Restaurant." It's pretty. It's. I would have loved to have heard him do that at an actual concert. That would, I've been to a few Billy Joel concerts, but he's never done that song, and it's really weird because he considers that to be his best song. Uh, so I would have liked to have seen him do it in person, but it it probably is my favorite. I started listening to Billy Joel when I heard "We Didn't Start the Fire," so at the beginning that was my favorite for a long time, and I still love the song too. I love it when he does it in person. I had a friend who went a big Billy Joel fan who went to one of his concerts and told me that while he was singing "We Didn't Start the Fire," he accidentally repeated one of the verses twice, which was really funny because I remember seeing an interview with him where he always said he was worried that would happen. But it's also like here's something I always find really amusing too. Uh, the I just completely blanked. I was it was a Billy Joel thing, and I just completely blanked on it. Darn it! Well, when it comes back to me, I'll let you know. But I uh, I was gonna say something there. But yeah, he's my favorite. I wish I would have get to see him more in concert. Uh, but I've always liked him, enjoyed him quite a bit. Texas T just got back home from an evening walk, trying to get motivated again. Yeah, those first few steps. If you're talking about trying to get exercise, get out a lot, this first few steps are really hard. But once you get them going, once you get past them, uh, you can you start building, start working out more, and it's great. For the longest time, is a catchy tune. Keeping the faith, really keeping the faith. This nice upbeat, fun song. I like that too. I mean, I really like almost all of his songs. I'm trying to. There may be one or two that I don't like. I think there's one or two that I will skip over, but for the life of me, I can't think of them right now. But I'm pretty sure there's one or two that I don't enjoy. Then, oh, I don't know if I said hello to Racer, but hello, Racer. Hope you're doing great. It's good to see you. I'm gonna in a little bit. I found this script from 2019, and it's got some stories on it. So before I end the stream later tonight, I might read a couple of those. I was trying to find a lot of my old scripts, but sometimes they're on other computers, other external hard drives. It's hard to believe. It is really hard to believe. Uh, all these years that I've been doing this, and all the content, all the stories, all the videos, all the pictures, and just going through everything that I got. I probably have over a terabyte of stuff that's just completely. Oh dear, somebody's being a jerk. Will you take care of them and ban them for me, EBC? I'm not going to put up with people. Crystal Thomas, you need to get a lot more mature and stay away from my channel. I don't have time or patience for people like you. Will you ban her, EBC? Sorry, guys, you didn't get to see what that was about because somebody decided to say fuck you, which I'm assuming they're saying to me, and I don't put up with it. I don't put up with it. This is a channel that I try to have a good time about and try to be nice to people and try to be positive. I don't need fucking assholes like you trying to ruin my stream. So why don't you go fuck yourself? Oh, now you're trying to advertise your YouTube channel. Well, look at that. It's hidden. Oh, and now you've been deleted. and now you're gone. You know, the funny thing is I allow people to advertise their channels on my channel. But dare, don't you dare say fuck you to me and then think that you can advertise your damn channel on mine. It ain't going to happen. Fucking. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I'm better now. No, I don't do anything here to try to be mean to anybody. I try to be nice. So, yeah, that was just uncalled for. And thank you, Evil Black Cat, for banning that person. I appreciate it. And sorry for my outbreak, everybody. Phantom of Darkness, everybody say hi to Phantom of Darkness. He's here. Dang, I walked in during a bad moment, lol. Oh, come on, I thought you liked it when I got pissed off. You remember that? Didn't you enjoy it? I thought you liked it when I used to get really angry about some of the messages people would post, and I would respond back to them and then copy and paste it on Twitter. It you always enjoyed that, Phantom, but it's good to see you. Phantom's a good friend, even though I think once when I had a couple brandies, I got mad at him and I didn't talk to him for a couple weeks, but I apologized to him and he as far as I'm aware, he forgave me because we talk now again, so it's great. If you guys have not gone to, if you have not gone to Phantom's channel, you should. He's got a really good thing, even though he believes in ghosts a little bit more than I do. Um, Not that I again disbelieve, I just don't know, but you know, he's a nice guy. But the okay, good. I feel better now. No, I I think a lot of people have mentioned one of the things they like about me is that I seem very nice, which I think that I am. But I can get so angry sometimes, and that was actually me. What you just experienced with a controlled anger. So I can get, as Evil Black Cat will tell you, I can get a lot louder and angrier than that. But I was trying to control myself, and you might have been able to hear that in my voice. I was trying to keep it down a little bit because that might be the scariest thing I do. And I hope that if I yell too loud and get too mad, then Buffy gets upset, the collie, and she always thinks I'm yelling at her. So I said, me and my sister lived in this house for 7 years, and we don't argue or yell at each other. So yeah, she never really cares when I get upset or yell. So when I, but anyhow, let's forget about that. That's no fun. So this next video that I'm working on is it'll probably be out tomorrow. Since we're doing this, I'm having enjoying doing this. It's going to be more of a random sort of story thing. I've got a couple. I don't really have a theme. Now, sometimes when I don't have a theme, I like to say something like stories told by candlelight or stories told by nightlight or something like that. So I'll go and I'll find something like that and I will then get that out tomorrow. So we'll have a couple of videos in a row and then I have some I have some more winter stories coming up that I know you guys like. And I've found some more country stories too, which those seem to be my videos that have done the best lately. So since the country stories have done so well, I've done my best to look for more of them. And I think that if I keep doing that, everyone seems to enjoy them, so maybe it'll work. Awesome Nut 64, is your name Tyler? If you're talking to me, it's not. My name's Jacob. But if you're talking to somebody else, I don't know if their name is Tyler or not. Sword Saboteur, yo KOC, love your stuff. I listen to you in my workshop all the time. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. wood stories are good too. Yeah. One of the stories I have is takes place out in the woods, and me and I think this. I'll tell you why I relate to that. Me and my sister, uh, and my brother, and sometimes some of my cousins, we went out and explored the woods a lot. We used to live in a place called a town. What was We lived close to a town called St. Clairsville, Ohio, when I was 13, I believe, and we lived way out in the country. I mean, there weren't houses anywhere. We were on top of a hill. The property was probably about an acre, and it had a big fence around it. And we had all sorts of stuff in the yard. It was really neat. We had there was like a little orchard in the yard, a little garden. There was a big old dog house. It was a pretty neat place. I think we really enjoyed living there when we did. There were things we didn't like about it. The fact that we went hungry a lot because my dad at the time, he was in the Navy, but he went on a disability leave, and they didn't give him very much money on the disability leave. They gave him $600 a month, so he was supporting himself, my stepmom, and three of us kids on $600 a month, which was not very much, as you know. And so during that time, we didn't get a lot of money or anything to do anything. So what we did a lot is we would go exploring the woods. And that's one of the reasons I like those stories, because I can relate to some of them a lot and understand them. I'm pausing just for a minute to say hi to a couple people. Kuji, I discovered your channel recently and have been enjoying it a lot. Thank you for all your hard work. And thank you for your kind comment, and hope that I can continue to entertain you. Uh, Jen D, I think it's Jen? I'm a little far away from the computer screen, so sometimes that looked like an O, but it's Jen. So, Jen, you have a really nice speaking voice, KOC. I've heard someone on NPR with a similar voice. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, Racer X is leaving, so I'm going to say goodnight to him before I finish talking about what I was talking about. But it's good to see you. Always great to see you, and thank you for always showing up at these streams. I appreciate it quite a bit. But just to tell you about some, I was kind of a weird kid. I was very obsessed with fantasy stuff, like Dungeons and Dragons type stuff, fantasy novels, Mercedes Lackey, which I wouldn't call her someone that I know very well or even really know at all, but Mercedes Lackey, if anybody knows her, is a sword and sorcery fantasy uh, writer, and she also is on Quora. And I've talked to her a few times, and she's a lot like me, which I think is really cool. And when I realized who she was, I'm like, oh my god! I sent her a message. I read you a lot when I was a kid, and I didn't realize this was you. Wow, I'm so happy to see you. I kind of fanboyed out and stuff. So, but she also talked to me a lot through. Whenever I send her a message, she messages me back. She's a pretty cool person. But I really like that sort of thing, wizardry stuff like that. So I would always go out into the woods when I did it and try to play like that. And but the woods were really, 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 really interesting. They were thick. Now we lived out in a gravel road where if you gravel road that was off another gravel road, but you turned on the gravel road and went up a hill, and you kept going up the hill, kind of turning and turning, and it would take you. It was probably about a mile and a half before you got to the top of the hill and you got to where our house was. Now, if you went back down and followed the road, it would then go downhill and way out. Now, the funny thing is, when I told people about this before, they've told me that, you can't, I know that area. There's not enough woods there to get lost. You can't get lost in the woods in Ohio. Most of Ohio is industrial. Very little of it is wilderness, and it's like, no. Now, my whole family grew up in the southern Ohio area. Uh, I know, and we used to go exploring all the time. You can get lost, and we did get lost. But I'll continue telling you guys about this. Maybe this is almost like me telling the story. But yeah, and it was dark, and there were no street lamps or anything like that. So, sometimes we would go out. It was great for astronomy. I'd actually got a telescope around that time, but it wasn't really that great. But we go out and see the stars. You can see so many more stars than you can see at other places. Uh, but the houses were very far and few between. I mean that wooded area, it went on and on and on. There were very few houses, and we didn't know anybody or any other people. And to tell you the truth, that road into those hills was so long that we never ever got. If I remember correctly, Evil Black Cat, we never got to the end of it. So, as far as that road went out in the hills, we never know where it ended up. So a lot of times we would do in the summer. We would do things like pick wild blackberries. Almost made a wild blackberry pie. That was great. But the best thing we did was exploring. And you would be surprised at the things you could find out there. And just a quick stop there. Phantom of Darkness asked me if I lived in Chicago. And yes, I moved to Chicago when I was 15, and I consider it my home since then. But to go on, it was so beautiful in the summertime, so beautiful, uh, and when we would go out, it usually, I don't remember if it was a wooden fence around the house. I think it was like a wooden fence, one of those wooden fences where you have like logs, and then you have like two or three logs horizontally in each area connected by the other logs. But if you went out further, there was all sorts of other stuff out there. And we would go out like dumbasses. We wouldn't like take like a bottle of water or something like that. We would drink from the creeks. Thinking back on it, we're really lucky we didn't get sick. But we didn't take food ever either. So we were probably the stupidest hikers in the world. But we would climb over the fence, and we would go hiking in these areas, and we had a lot of fun. I'll tell you one thing though, my late brother, he was so fun to go out there with most of the time. He would try to do stupid things like we came across a bull once, and he started throwing rocks at it, and it's like we had to all jump. The bull started chasing us, and we all had to run and find a tree to jump up in, and we had to wait until I don't know if Evil Black Cat was with us when that happened, but my brother was always like that. He was always wanting to see what he could make happen, and Claire, no, I have not collaborated with Corpse Husband, and with as popular as he is right now, I'm guessing that probably will never happen. Though it would be pretty cool. My brother once decided to pee on an electrical fence just to see what it would be like. And it's like, just to tell you it was a bad idea. And I think he learned that pretty darn quick. It was a bad idea. And just to go along and tell you some of the things that we have experienced there, we would go way out into the woods, and we would he would run to the electrical fence. He touched the electrical fence on purpose. He would he was very very odd sometimes. Um, but I miss him. He my brother had his bad moments, but he had his good moments too, and those are the ones I like the best. But the bad moments we kind of enjoy a little bit too. One of the bad moments is when we were way out in the woods, and this is what got me. we were way out, way out. Uh, we came across this barn, and it was so weird because the barn was it didn't really have like a road that led to it. But the barn it was in an open area, where the trees were cleared out. But it was far away from anything. And it just like was strange to us. This huge barn was just sitting there. So we thought we would go in and explore it, which we shouldn't have done. But hey, what were we doing? We're out exploring the woods. The doors to the barn were huge. I mean, they were. You're probably talking like 15-foot high doors, and we had to grab them and pull them open. And my brother was decided to do that, and we went in there, and there was so much hay and tools and stuff like that, and there were some ropes hanging from the ceiling for some odd reason. So we would grab the ropes and act like Tarzan and stuff like that, and it was fun. But I think Evil Black Cat will always remember this, and I will always remember this. Because it scared the shit out of me. I think we were there with our stepmother's brother Sean, and my sister was sitting on a bale of hay, and my brother tried to scare her with a pitchfork, and his intention was to throw the pitchfork above her head, not hit her, but scare her. Which was a stupid idea, especially because he didn't know if the pitchfork would go further down than he meant to do it, or he didn't know if my sister would get scared seeing it and maybe stand up or something like that. But he threw the pitchfork at her, and it landed probably inches above her head, and it was you can ask Evil Black Cat about it. She'd be the one who was probably more terrified than I was, but I still say it was pretty scary. We would come across old tool sheds, um, um, old buildings that seemed to be very strange that they would be out in the woods like that. Most of them were rotted wood, and we go inside and look at things. We find all sorts of weird stuff. Now, I don't know if we have too many stories that would compare to some of the ones that people have sent me, but there was one that happened to me, and I think this is actually in one of my videos. When my dad was, he bought this old Mustang, and he was trying to get it to work and stuff, and he couldn't get it to start. I think because of the battery. So we were at the top of the hill, so he had us help him push the Mustang out of the driveway and onto the street or the gravel road. And then he was going to have it roll down the gravel road down the hill to see if it would start. Well, it did. It did. So the car started, and he drove down the hill, and he drove away. We didn't see him after a while. Well, then, and this was really strange. He eventually walked back to the house, and Christina, Evil Black Cat, it's a different Mustang, I think. I don't know the Mustang I'm talking about. I don't think ever really worked. But yeah, so he goes and he drives off. So we go back to the house, and he shows up hours later, telling us that the car died. And he tells us, me and my brother, that we have to go and find the car and wait for someone to drive by and ask them for a jump. Well, my first thought is like, why didn't you just do it yourself? You know, why did we have to go out to the? You're the one who drove it there. You're the one that died on. Why the fuck? Sorry, why the hell do we have to do this? So we decided to do it anyhow. So my brother and I start walking down the gravel road, and we're waiting to see the car. Now we walked. This is what I was talking about earlier. How that gravel road just went on to God knows where. And we walked and we walked and we walked and we walked and we finally found the car. Now keep in mind, a lot of people did not drive down this road. And it was somewhat futile to sit there and wait for somebody to come and give us a jump when almost no one drove down the road. But we sat in the car and we waited and we waited. My brother tried to have me push the car with him and try to start it. I was just skinny little scrawny little kid. I couldn't push that car. Um, so we waited and we waited and we waited, and it got dark. And for other people who've lived out in the country like that, when it gets dark out there, it gets dark. And it was very, very scary. There were, we're on the side of the road. There's tons of trees, and we waited. And at one point, my brother left to go look to see if he can. My brother left to look to see if he could go find a house where somebody could, hey, bring their car over, because we'd been there for hours and nobody had driven by. So he walks off to find a house. So here I am, 13 years old, uh, sitting in a Mustang on a gravel road out in the country all by my freaking self. And trust me, I was pretty darn scared. And I waited and waited. And when you watch a horror movie and somebody walks off, and I think that they made this point in Scream, when you leave, they don't come back. And so that's exactly what I was thinking, because my brother left and he did not come back for quite a while. And so I'm sitting, and all of a sudden I hear, and I'm like, what the hell? It sounded like a tapping noise. And now I'm really scared. I get up and I make sure the doors are locked. And I get them locked, but I don't really feel secure. And then again, I hear it again. And I look over to the passenger side window, and this time I see it. There's somebody or something tapping on the window. And I was absolutely terrified. Absolutely terrified. And waiting, it's like hoping and praying my brother was going to come back, because my brother was a big, scary guy. He, my brother was a little insane too. He could have been aggressive. When he lost his temper, he probably could have accidentally killed somebody, because that's how angry he would get. So I'm here knowing that there's something or someone around there by my car trying to fuck with me. And I'm just sitting there in the car in the dark, scrunched down to the seat, wondering what's going on, just scared to death. And it happens again. I hear the tapping sound. And I just don't know what's going on at all. And finally, after all this time, my brother comes back to the car and asks me to open the door. And I'm like, there's somebody on the other side of the car. He thinks I'm crazy, of course, but he goes around and he looks and says he doesn't find anybody. I said, no, there was somebody there, and they were tapping on the window of the car. And he looks around and he starts yelling into the woods if someone's there. He keeps on saying for them to come back so he can kick their ass and stuff. And eventually, nothing happens. Now, the he got tired of waiting at that point, and he said that he just thinks that we should walk back to the house. Just lock the car up and walk back to the house. Nobody's going to come along, and we're not staying there all night. So we lock the car up and we start walking back in the house. We don't have a flashlight, by the way. We're just in the complete dark. And after what had happened there with the tapping on the window, now it could have been. I can tell you this: there is a high likelihood that my brother was the one who was tapping on the window, trying to scare me. It may have been somebody else. He's the type of guy who would have done that, and I can't blame him because I'm the type of guy who would have done that. But anyhow, we start walking home, and I could just tell you just how absolutely freaky it was being out there. It takes us like an hour and a half to 2 hours to walk home. And it's like 11 o'clock midnight. And my dad, being the jerk that he was, gets angry at us for leaving the car. And my brother's like telling him nobody was coming along. We couldn't find anyone to do a jump. Why are we just going to spend the entire night out there? So my dad, on the other hand, the next morning has to go and get the car, and he goes and he gets it himself. He finally gets somebody to help him out. And that's pretty much the end of that story, but that was one of the more freaky, what I consider freaky things that happened there. But, in retrospect, it could have been my brother. Who knows? But that was one of the scary things that happened there. Now, we never really came across anything too terrifying when we went on our hikes in the woods, like a lot of people who send in stories do, which is too bad. It would have been really nice to have been able to find something like that. But we found a lot of interesting stuff, and it wasn't the only place that we explored, because whenever we went to our relatives' houses, they all lived out in different far off areas and in rural areas too. So we'd always have somewhere to go. So we would go out and we would find all sorts of interesting things, waterfalls, creeks. There was this one time where if I slid into a small cave, which I really shouldn't have done because it was, there wasn't really enough room for somebody to go in to slide into the cave. I was on my stomach, and a bunch of bats flew out, and I couldn't move, and I'm in this cave because of how none of the bats bit me or anything, thank God, but they all flew out of the cave around me, which was absolutely terrifying. And that was something that was pretty scary. But we found an old schoolhouse once, and that was pretty neat. And if you ever came across an old building out in the woods, you'd know what I mean. They're interesting, but they're pretty frightening too. They were like rotted desks, and even a couple of them would have books or stuff in them. We'd find all sorts of things like that. We would get lost sometimes too, and that was always kind of like the scariest thing when we would just go out and not know how to get back and how we're gonna get home. But the whole thing, that's really a lot of my childhood up until I was 15. For around 12, to 15, and it was really quite an interesting thing. I'm sorry I'm missing a lot of people's messages while I'm talking. I'm trying to read them, and I've seen some people say some nice things, stuff. Except Sybil, she's the only one who lived in town. Well, Sybil lived in town when she got older, but she lived out in the country when I was growing up and young. Our Sybil would be my dad's aunt, and one of the first people I remember were her and her husband Charlie, who we always called everyone in the world called him Uncle Charlie, and he was a pretty cool guy. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Christine. I wasn't planning on doing this, but it's I'm kind of doing a flowing thing and just coming and saying what's ever coming to my mind. Evil Black Cat. Do you remember in St. Clairsville when the bat was flying around outside and Dad made you guys go out and shoot it and we had to bury it? Yes, it was that was I do remember the bat. It was in our yard and we were out in the country, so having a bat out there was not that scary of a thing. Oh, but that can. I'll go back to talking about the country in a minute. Evil Black Cat just reminded me of one of my more embarrassing moments. So I was on a date, and after the date, we went back to my apartment, and it was a really nice summer day. And as the sun went down, it was getting really cool outside. So I thought I would open up the door, the sliding glass door to the balcony, and let some of the air in. And we're watching a movie, and you start kissing, making out, and stuff. And while we're making out, a bat flies into the window, into the apartment, and he's flying around on the roof, on the ceiling, hitting things, and it's like I don't know what to do. Here we are kissing and stuff, and there's a bat flying around, and I'm very embarrassed because if you really want to see an awkward situation, uh, you would see that when a bat flies around in your apartment while you're making out with somebody. And what am I gonna do about the bat? I didn't have anything to do about him. I couldn't grab him and throw him out the window. So we just left and went into another room and hoped that it would leave. Well, then my roommate comes home, and I hear him scream when he comes into the door. Um, Christina, Christina, should remember my roommate D. He used to be in the military actually. But yeah, he slept with a knife. And he screams when he sees the bat in the house, and it's like, what is going on in here? What is going? It's like I just go to your room. He'll eventually leave. So he runs into his bedroom and closes it. And at least the bat didn't fly into your mouth. Oh God, you're telling me. Eventually the bat left, and we were able. It was. Oh boy, that was awkward. But uh that was something else. It reminds me of another story that I might tell, but it was the funny thing is everything on the date was going so well. It's like I thought, wow, this wasn't the first date. It was like a third date, and I thought it was going so well. This might develop into a relationship, and then we make out, and the bat flies around the house. It didn't. We didn't end up being in a relationship. I don't know if it had anything to do with the bat or not, but that was that was something. No, I've never had rabies, thank God. I'd hate to have to go through the shots for that. But yeah, the experience was pretty neat. It was pretty neat. And it was just kind of scary at the time, but it was something that I would never want to happen again. But oh my God, I've had embarrassing moments on dates, more than you could possibly know. Um, I remember being on one date and saying, I like you. You're nice. I'm not ready for a commitment. Wait, what? I just said I like you. You're nice. Well, you said you like me. Well, am I not allowed to say I like you? You're nice. You're trying too hard. You're pushing too hard. Are you crazy or something? I once knew a guy who tried to cast a spell on me. Okay, I'm laughing. That hurts my back. A guy tried to cast a spell on me because he was jealous of my partner at the time. It's like, okay, I don't believe in that stuff, so, I'm not worried that you're trying to cast a spell on me. It was, oh god, I knew some really crazy people, back in my 20s and stuff. Uh, but somebody tried to, it was, he, he had this ring, and it was like a ring that covered your whole finger. It was like in the shape of a dragon, and he gave it to me, and I didn't like it, so I got rid of it. But apparently, he had told somebody that he cast a spell on it that if I wore the ring, that my partner would break up with me and date him instead. Well, that never happened. But it's just, and I'm so much open minded about stuff, but it was more the weirdness of that. Yes, I love Creedence Clearwater Revival. They are my favorite band. But if I put a spell on you, let me see anything other embarrassing that I can actually mention without I wouldn't touch a squirrel. Evil Black Cat touched a squirrel once. We were. This was when I was about 15 years old, which means she would have been about 10. My mom was away at work. Yep. Yep. I guess you're telling. Yeah. It's Yep. She picked up the squirrel. Okay, she's already telling the story. I missed that part. But yeah, it was like I opened the door and I like screamed. It's like, yeah, if that bites you, terrified me. And then my mom got all mad. We didn't know it was a pet. It was just we were just like surprised that she picked up the squirrel. I missed the part where she started telling it, so sorry about that, but it was interesting. Another scary thing that happened to me once, and this is pretty terrifying. Uh, at Six Flags Great America in Gurnee, Illinois, someplace I've been to quite a bit. They have this roller coaster that we always go on when we go there. It's called the Demon. The Demon has two loops and a corkscrew, if I'm not mistaken. And it's like many roller coasters. It has the harness that you bring down over your shoulders and it locks in. Well, it locks in, and we're going up. We're ascending on the roller coaster, and I don't know if Evil Black Cat was my ride partner that time or if it was like somebody else. My harness came loose, and I pulled it forward a bit and realized my harness wasn't locked. So I take the harness and I pull it on me and I'm holding it tight to my chest and I'm like, please don't let me die. 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 And it's like, first of all, you're not really gonna fall off a roller coaster, because how quickly they go through the loops. You'd be unlikely to fall off it, even if you didn't have a harness. Um, but I'm holding it so close to me, and I'm just scared out of my mind. It's like I'm gonna die. 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 And it was just absolutely scary throughout the whole thing. And I'm like, I went in there and I told them this harness came loose on me, and they didn't believe me. I was like, well, if someone goes on the roller coaster and dies, you'll probably uh, believe then. But that was pretty scary. No, yeah, yeah, I see what Evil Black Cat said there. I probably scared her by telling her that. But it was terrifying, and it didn't stop me from riding roller coasters. I love roller coasters. That's one of the many things I miss about being in Illinois, or the is Six Flags Great America. But it was pretty darn fun all the time. They had great roller coasters. I even worked there. It was one of my first jobs. I worked in an ice cream parlor. So I've been there a whole lot and liked it quite a bit. The But yeah, I don't think I have had any scary experiences at Six Flags. Always had a good time there. I hated working there. I mean, that working there was hell, and they pretty much at the time treated their employees like crap. So I quit on the busiest day of the year. Their busiest day of the year is 4th of July, and I just got tired of it, and I walked out on the job. I'm like, I'm done. They're like, well, we prefer you to give a 2 weeks notice. I said, well, I prefer you to treat me like a human being. So we did that, and trying to think, one of the another scary experience that I had was with my brother. My brother, when we were teenagers, he always kind of hung out with the wrong people, and he hung out with drug dealers and people who were sort of gangs and stuff, and he there's one night when I don't know. Again, I don't know if Evil Black Cat was there or not. I know my parents were not there. My stepdad and my mom, and he comes in the house real quick and slams the door closed and locks it. And our stepdad is named Frank. He's like, "Where's Frank's shotgun?" I'm like, in his closet. Does he have shells for it? How would I know? I don't shoot. And he's like, "Well, watch the door. I need to go get it." And I'm like, "Okay." I'm just sitting there like, "What the hell's going on?" So he goes in to my parents' bedroom, and he gets out the shotgun and puts shells in it, and comes back out to the door. And I'm freaking out at this point. I think I'm 15, 16 at the time. He's probably about 18, and it's Mark. Him and his friends are coming here and try to kill me. I'm like, what? Yeah, it's like I think his name was Mark, but if it wasn't, who cares? But it was a guy that I knew he was good friends with that I actually liked, and I was friends with him too. Although he liked to cut himself a whole lot, which kind of freaked me out. But he he was really really freaked out, and the guys and Mark or whatever his name shows up on our porch, and my brother's yelling at him through the door, telling him that he has the shotgun, and I'm like, oh crap, someone's gonna die, and it's like I'm like, David, I'm gonna call the police. No, don't call the cops. Don't call the cops. I'm like, there's some sort of like armed standoff happening in my living room. You know, I said, tell him I'm calling the police. I mean, he wouldn't do it, so I yelled at the door, "Get lost! I'm calling the police." And I went and I called the police. And it was the thing was is that it's like I don't know what's going on, but an armed standoff in my living room and my front porch. I'm thinking the cops are probably the best thing to do at that time period. But the guys left. I don't know what happened with it. Uh, my brother was always having friends that were getting arrested, and so who knows? Who knows? Uh, I look back. I'm sorry I missed some questions. I know that I saw from Phantom of Darkness was asking me what was my favorite job besides YouTube. My favorite job, I don't know if many of you people will remember this, but I worked at a Crown bookstore, and it was an old store, and not didn't have a lot of great amenities or things, but I worked there for a year. I was assistant manager. My employees were great. They always liked me. In fact, one of them, I remember Josh, made me a name tag. Uh, he put on it, Jake, best manager ever. I'm like, okay. And I worked there for a little while, and they didn't really. It was a great year. I loved everything about it. When that year was up, I had to go. I got a different job, and I really needed to because I needed the money. So I got a job at Borders, and I was their human resources manager at Borders, and the Borders was a great building. It had so much neat stuff on it. It was wonderful. It was clean. Uh, but I didn't like it as much. The Crown Bookstore was dirtier. Uh, it didn't have a good stock room or anything, but I liked it a lot more. It was just a much better place, and I love bookstores too. I'm just so sad that there's so few of them now. You know, you got Barnes and Noble. Some places you have Books a Million, and you know, I'm going to tell you this. Why I think I'm the stupidest. One thing I regret two things in my life. I regret, and I don't tell this story, but I always tell people what I regret. I regret not getting in to the red convertible when I was 16 years old. I regret that very much. And I regret not buying Books a Million stock. Because when I looked at the stock for Books a Million, it was like 61 cents per share. And I had $700 to invest at the time. And I don't know what Books a Million stock is now, but the last time I checked, it was like $30 a share. And I could punch myself in the face for not buying it when it was 61 cents a share. But I just didn't have balls to do it. I've never bought stock before. I've had stock. I worked at a place called Hewitt Associates for a while, and they gave me stocks when they went public. Them. That's where I got the $700 from. But anyhow, that's how that goes on. See, I saw my name there. Dan Rouser, hey Killer Orange Cat, have you seen any aliens? I have not seen any aliens. I've seen some weird things, but I can't say I believed that they were aliens or that I could even explain them. I mean, I've seen a very strange plane flying really low to the ground when I was a kid, and I lived on the Great Lakes Naval Base, but, you know, it's Great Lakes Naval Base. Evil Black Cat's really the person to talk to about aliens. That's always been more of her thing. My mom believes that, I think I'm right on this, my mom believes that we may have come from another planet. I don't know. I know enough about physics to know how difficult interstellar travel would be, but who knows what's going on. But no, I have not seen any aliens. I think it would be neat. I should not regret anything. You know, I would like to. It's just hard to not regret things. Now, like my sister had mentioned to my mom the other day that there was this one time when we were kids, my dad told us to come out to see a drunk alien, and we looked up in the sky and there was this light, looked like a star, but it was moving in weird little. It was moving a little bit back and forth in weird little circles in the sky. Now I know why that happened. It's just because in that area there was enough pollution in the air, and it kind of affected. You know, I mean, this has been a proved phenomenon. I didn't know at the time though. We thought it may have been alien. Claire Strange, I believe aliens are just a figment of our imagination. I've never seen a UFO or anything like that. Yeah, I've never seen it. I don't. I've talked to certain people who have seen aliens, and they, at the very least, seem to me like they are telling the truth. They're not lying about it. But you got to remember that I've seen plenty of ghosts and stuff in my life, but I also have hallucinations occasionally when I don't take my medication. And I always have to take that into account. That some of the things that I've seen in the past, including that apartment that I lived in, if you go back and look through my videos, there's a description of this apartment that I lived in that was super duper haunted, and all this crazy stuff was happening. But it could have been the fact that I was having partial seizures, which I do have, which caused me to hallucinate. In fact, I had a partial seizure on Thursday. And it wasn't very much of a bad one. I hadn't taken my medication, and I was just sitting here at the computer, and I heard someone say, "Hey, Jake," behind me, and I jumped up and I got startled at first. But I'll tell you a couple things that I can't explain in a minute here, after I catch up on some comments here. The same thing every day. I love that. It's funny. Even though you posted a picture of yourself, I still have no idea how old you are. um, I do that on purpose because I don't really care how old I am, but it's fun. It's kind of a fun game. Now that I didn't do it when I first started doing this, uh, because people were asking, and I gave somebody a choice. I said, "Do you want a face reveal, or do you want to know how old I am?" And they asked for a face reveal. So when I did my first Q&A, I did a face reveal at the end of it. But since he chose the face reveal, ever since I don't tell people my age because I always go back to that. Well, I gave somebody a choice. If you were to choose age, you guys would know. But let me just say this, you're not going to guess how old I am by looking at pictures of me. I did a, that Google thing, the Google thing where it takes a picture of you and tells how old you are, and it's really, really accurate for a lot of people. It ain't accurate for me. According to it, I look a lot younger than I am. And I'm very happy about that. Yes, I am, but who knows if. Um, you'll probably get this message from EBC before me, but we just got a really bad. Both of us just got some lags for some reason. So it kind of maybe interrupted the story, but I'll tell it again. Fam of Darkness and I were talking on Twitter, and and I told him I would confirm it if he guessed it correctly. He got it on the very first guess, and it's like, okay, it was pretty cool. But I'm guessing 34ish, huh? I could say I like your guess, but I'm not going to say why. But I don't know. It's just become too fun for me to do that, and that's why I continue it because it's just a fun little game for me. Okay, I had to ask Evil Black Cat if she was hearing me because my subtitles are gone. Oh, aliens and messing with the chat. That's a good one. Yeah, my subtitles are gone. I always watch. I watch when I do the streams. I always watch the captions in the chat in the room, so I know when I say something, you guys don't hear it until about 10 seconds after I say it. So I watch the captions so I know when you guys hear it. And we were getting a lag there for a while, and now my captions are gone. I am seeing the eyes looking around and everything, but my captions are completely not working. So that made me wonder if you guys were hearing me or not. And I keep on talking, talking, talking. Chrissy Geyer, I've been holding it 29 years for 11 years now. That's the way to go. I respect that so much. Raging Cherry, hello. Hello to you too. Chimera Cat, I disagree that they're a figment of the imagination. I can attest to that. Yeah, here's what I do. When somebody tells me a story of something that happened to them that was paranormal, involves aliens, stuff like that, I generally will take them at their word. It doesn't mean that I believe the things are real, but here's my outlook on it. I don't think all the stories I tell are real, even the ones that aren't paranormal. I'm pretty sure that some of these people probably make these things up. And I'm not saying all of them or any specific ones, but if I'm going to believe somebody who tells me sort of an outrageous, mundane story, I kind of have to give people who tell me maybe a paranormal or an alien story a little bit of the benefit of the doubt that they're telling the truth. So I kind of accept it all like that. Now, what I don't accept, or when people make YouTube videos of supposed ghosts, and I watch those videos, and I know they're I know exactly what they're doing. They're trying to make people think, "Oh, my house is haunted." And you can tell they're using some sort of special effects or other things. And so far I've never seen anything like that. That was really weird. There were 69 people in the chat and it went down to 60 in 1 second. I pissed off 9 people. Woo. Just being silly now. But yeah, it's the benefit of the doubt. That's because you are so sweet, KOC. Well, I try. I try. But yeah, like I said, I've had paranormal experiences. I was more of a believer in that stuff when I was younger, but as my issues with with epilepsy came, and I learned more about that, and YouTube has been something that, as much as I absolutely love it, there are a lot of things about it that I hate. And one of the things that I hate is when I watch a video of a paranormal experience and I can tell right away that it's not real. And the reason those bug me so much is just because I don't understand why people do it. I just don't get it. I don't know why people want to trick you and stuff. So those I don't like. But if you send me a paranormal story, I will read it on my channel. I know that some people are hesitant to send them to me because I do very little paranormal content. And I think the reason people don't send me their paranormal stories is because they think that maybe I'm too much of a skeptic to read them. But I will read them, and I will give you the benefit of the doubt. I won't. And if someone comes in and says you're fake, I'll shut them down. You know, I'm a fan of darkness. I just don't believe the ghost stories when they go. We sat down and talked for hours, had some tea, and discussed the afterlife. Then the ghost flew out of the room. Oh my lord. Has somebody actually done that? Oh, and that's my other pet peeve. I think I've mentioned this on Twitter. My other pet peeve are those ghost hunting shows. I don't know if that's what you all are talking about right now, but the ghost hunting shows. Here's what annoys me about ghost hunting shows. I don't care. I'm not going to say, oh, it's pseudoscience, even though it is. I'm not going to say, oh, they're trying to scam you, even though I sort of believe they are. But here's what I say about it. In ghost hunting videos, these people are seeking out supposedly haunted areas to get proof of the supernatural. But every time they either think they see something or they hear something, they scream and run away. Okay, if you were somebody who was out trying to research lions, you would, like a photographer, you'd find a safe way away from them. And if you saw a lion, you would take your pictures and do whatever you wanted to do. You're there to do something with that lion. So why would somebody whose job it is to hunt ghosts and find proof of ghosts because they want to prove ghosts exist run away screaming every time that proof shows up? I just don't get it. It's such nonsense. And it's that's why they have no credibility. Because, I mean, I've done ghost hunts before. In fact, you could look at my ghost hunt. I did a ghost hunt with my friend Brad Smith, who was in there earlier. The entire reason that we went to Waverly Hills was to do a ghost hunt. And after being there for about 2 hours, we were on an 8-hour tour of it. I gave up because nothing was happening, and I thought I wanted to make a ghost hunting video. Nothing is happening, and I got to do something for this trip, so I turned it into a comedy video. Actually, I'm really proud of it. If you haven't seen my Waverly Hills video, I highly recommend it. If you watch it, you learn a lot about me. You'll know what about my sense of humor, and it's really would tell you exactly what it's like being around me. They should already be trained to deal with the paranormal. Yeah, I mean, if you're scared of ghosts, don't try to find them. Let people who aren't scared of ghosts hunt for them. And I've known people. There are some ghost hunters in the Chicago area who actually have a Ghostbusters car, and they drive around that area, and they are ghost hunters. Um, but it's something else. You get Christine Hildebrand. This is such a great live stream for our incoming storm. Tell us more about the storm. I love storms. Veronica, Liz, did you stay overnight? Yes. Our Waverly Hills tour started at 11 p.m. and lasted until 7 a.m. Now, I want to do it again, actually. I'm hoping, I've been wanting to do it again for years. I'm hoping I can do it again this year. I don't know about if I can. I don't know what they're doing now because of COVID. If I were to do it, I probably wouldn't be able to do it until summertime somehow. Because I'd have to save up some money to do it. But I would like to do it again, do a follow-up. And I think that would be fun because I really had a lot of fun. Now, there was one thing that happened while I was there, but I don't know how to explain it. But we were walking. A group of people were walking, and I felt like something hit me and knocked me into another room. But I don't know if that was just something that really happened, the power of suggestion, whatever. Claire Strange, exactly, KOC. You don't know if either you see a ghost, spirit, etc. Like there's always a logical explanation for mostly everything. Like the alien stuff for people. I'm not calling those people. Oh, there we go, Brad. Yeah, we could do it again this summer. Sounds like fun. Yeah, I'll look around and see if Rebecca can come again. That would be cool too. If I'd like Jamie to come if she could, but I think she's got a baby now. So, but if we could do it, let's plan on it during the summertime. And what we'll be able to do then, is we do it during the summertime. I'll save up for a much better camera, so we don't just have to use my cell phone. And we'll see what happens. Maybe Evil Black Cat will come too. She's asking, can she bring her dog? Which the answer would probably be no. But it's a that would be absolutely the time of my life, and I would love it if we could do it. So I'll send you like an email later. I'll look at their website and see what's going on. But doing it during the summer would be pretty darn cool. Even though we had to sleep in your house and you didn't have any air conditioning, that was pretty tough on me. But I got through it. So, but it would be cool to see something. I mean, that's the thing, is that I'm not saying that ghosts don't exist. I look at every single story or case on an individual basis. I just say that no one has proved it yet, but I'm still open to the idea, and I would love to see something at Waverly Hills. But I could tell you right now, I'm not thinking it's going to happen. And Brad probably remembers too, because I wasn't as much a skeptic. I wasn't as much a skeptic when we went in the door. I became more of a skeptic during that night, because Brad was much more skeptical than me. He had mentioned before that he didn't believe that there were ghosts there, and but he liked doing the tour and seeing all the stuff, and he said right away that he didn't believe there were any ghosts there, and I thought about, well, let's see what's going to happen. I'd like to see a ghost, and they told some stories. There were a couple things that really irritated me. Like, for example, this one woman had this little word generator or something that she claimed could pick up on ghosts in words that they want to say. And while they were by my friend Rebecca, all of a sudden the word Rebecca came up on her little screen. But of course, if you walk into Waverly Hills, if you walk in, they have you sign a book, and there's a camera right there. on you as you're signing the book. So, I'm sorry, why would you have a camera focus on people signing a register? Oh, wait a minute. Because then you would be able to see the person and know their name. So when you walk by them, the person would be able to say, "Oh, this is Rebecca." And the name Rebecca would show up on the little name generator. And interesting enough, I didn't sign the book. My name never came up on that name generator. So what I'm going to do this next time, if they're still doing this, is I'm going to sign my name as something completely different and see what happens. Rebecca did right away. Rebecca um, would be absolutely convinced that it was haunted and that things have happened. Um, so, no big deal with that. Oh, you leaving, Patty? If you are, good night. Have a great night, and I'm always happy to have you here. But yeah, again, Comerica, I don't discount people that had their experiences, but we didn't have any paranormal experiences at Waverly. But we did walk all the way down to the death tunnel, and I had to say I was a little bit scared doing that. But I actually at one point gave my phone. I don't know if I gave it to Brad or Rebecca, but I gave it to one of them. I said, "I'm just not scared. Hold my phone so I don't have a light. And I'm gonna walk off into the dark and see if I can get scared." It didn't work. Oh, Patty's still here. That's good. I'm happy. But yeah, the I'll get a better camera. I'll get a better camera, and we'll do something more fun in the summer and see what happens. And if other people want to go too, anybody who would want to go is welcome to come with us. You'd have to, we wouldn't be able to pay for you, of course, but the if you can come with us and want to do it, I would be happy to have the more the merrier. Yeah, the fog in the death tunnel was cool. It's pretty creepy. If you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch it and see because that is pretty cool. But going on and on, like I do, I I discount I discount my paranormal experiences because of my epilepsy. But I'm not going to tell somebody like Camericat who's had paranormal experiences. I'm not going to say, "Oh, it's all in your head." If you send me a story, I'm not going to say it's all in your head. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. How much is the tour? I don't know at the moment. Um, it should be on the Waverly Hills website though. If we do it during the summer, if we do it during the summer, uh, it would give anyone time to save up for it if they wanted to come. It's not inordinately expensive. I think when we did it was $100 per person. But you what they do, at least what they did for us, it's not all on camera, is they for the first hour they took us to each floor of the hospital, and they showed us some of the main sites, and then you just get to go off by yourself and do your ghost hunting or whatever you want to do. Um, but so 1 hour where it actually is the tour, and the rest of the time was ghost hunting. You can go on any of the floors you want to. We had fun. There was this. I think I've told this story 100 times, but I'll tell it again for people who haven't heard it. There was a guy there who was there was a guy there who was ghost hunting, and he had one of those spirit boxes. Don't get me started on spirit boxes. I'm sorry. I will give you the benefit of your doubt with ghost stories, but spirit boxes, pseudoscience. But he was trying to contact children, and he put the spirit box. We went out into this really large balcony, and he put the spirit box down, and he wanted everyone to come and lay down on their chests in this big circle and hold hands. And me and Rebecca decided to go and do it. And he was trying to use our quote unquote energy to summon ghosts. I'll pause to say goodnight to Christine. It's really nice to see you. It's always great to see you, and thanks for showing up, and I hope you have a great night. Oh, and also, while I was talking, somebody asked me when the next story video will be. That'll be out tomorrow. My new story video will be out tomorrow, probably in the evening. Now, what he was trying to do was, he was singing Ring Around the Rosies, trying to contact the ghosts of children in order to get them to finish the rhyme. So he would sing like one line or two lines of Ring Around the Rosies, and hoping that he would hear the rest of it out of the spirit box. Oh, if it's still $100 per guest, that's pretty reasonable for what you get. That's pretty reasonable. And hey, we could always start up like a GoFundMe. Say, all these people want to come. If you can't come, and try to get you to come and help out. Although I've put up a lot of those for helping people, but it's fun. Hey, it's Bitty Bitty. Hello. I missed that I was sleeping. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I'm glad to see you here right now. But let me finish what I was telling you. So I'm sitting there laughing, and I'm stifling my laughter, and it's after the guy fails several times to get the children to continue singing Around the Rosies. I politely say, I can't. I'm skeptical. I may be giving you some negative energy, so I'm going to go ahead and leave. So I get up and leave, and I go over to Brad, and I'm like, I hope he remembers this. I'm like giggling my ass off at this point, and he asked me why I'm laughing and stuff, and I said, well, I did some research on Waverly Hills, and when the children, they didn't have a lot of children there, but they had a lot of children die there during a certain time period, and I knew this before I went in there. Well, the thing is Ring Around the Rosies has not been in the United States very long. It showed up here in the 20th century don't get me wrong, people knew it, but it wasn't until the sort of the mid to later 20th century when it became more well known in the United States. The children he was trying to contact died in the 1930s. In the 1930s, most children would not have known that rhyme. And it's just, you would think that if you're trying to do something like that, you would make yourself aware of it beforehand. And I just could not stop laughing at it. It was just so. It's. Do Mary Had a Little Lamb. That's been around forever, you know. Yes, in Louisville, Kentucky. And it was very, very. 1, 2, Freddy's Coming for You. That's my favorite night. That's my favorite Nightwish. I love Freddy Krueger. Well, don't get me wrong. I don't want to meet him because I figured that would be very unpleasant. Although I did have a nightmare. I had a really bad nightmare. Saturday night, Friday morning. I was surprised I didn't tell you guys about this when I was telling you about my day on Friday, but I kept dreaming that we were in this house with all these windows at night, and these very scary things kept coming to the windows all the time and jumping in front of the windows. We were doing everything I can to try not to let them get into the house. It was pretty bad. But it was something else. So, I woke up and I don't remember having a scary dream in a long time. So that was pretty scary. Fidel, hey, back to you. But yeah, it was great. And what I'll do is, I'll look around, decide in a general time period when we might go, coordinate with everybody who wants to go in case they want to go and have to ask for a day off work. But I would love anybody to come who can, and we'll see whatever we can do to try to get it done, because it would be fun, and the more people that come there, anybody who comes and does that with us, you'll end up in the video too, so even more fun. Have I ever experienced sleep paralysis? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Not as much as my mom. My mom used to get it like every night. When she was younger, she'd have severe migraines and sleep paralysis like all the time. I've had it a few times. Um, and it hasn't been a long time. I most always sleep on my stomach. I don't understand how people can sleep on their backs. And if I flip, I gotta slow down. I'm starting to talk really fast, and I start messing up my words. I If I flip around on my back, I might get sleep paralysis. Now, I've had some strange ones. One of the strangest was when I was in my grandma's house in the attic, sleeping, and my eyes were open and I was asleep, and my mom came walking up the stairs, and she was really there. But I had sleep paralysis, but I wasn't hallucinating. I thought I was hallucinating seeing my mom, and I snapped out of it real quick. And when I did, my mom was still there and scared the shit out of me. And I jumped up and was like, she's like, "What's wrong?" And I explained to her what happened, and she's like, as somebody who's had tons of sleep paralysis, she's like, okay. She just brushed it off, but that was scary. But my brother David, his story of sleep paralysis is in one of my videos, and it's the scariest one that I've ever heard. Um, it happened when we lived in Italy. Evil Black Cat was born in Italy, and I was 5, and my brother was 7, and he was lying in bed, and he opened his eyes, and he saw this. If you've ever seen Clash of the Titans, the original one, that's the way they made the Gorgons is the only way I can explain what he said. It was a woman whose lower half of the body was like a serpent's tail. She had snakes coming out of her head, and she had these really long fingernails. And when he opened the eyes and he saw her, she's like, "David, close your eyes or I'll rip them out with my fingernails. And I'll rip your guts out." And he closed his eyes and didn't and fell back asleep. So that would be pretty terrifying. I've never seen anything utterly scary when I've had it. Family Darkness. I knew a dad and son. The dad would always tell his son, "When I pass away, I will fart on you." The son dismissed it. "Yeah, right." One day his dad passed away, and that's when the son felt a gentle breeze. Kidding, that never happened. Well, that was kind of funny, anyways, so. I wouldn't be very surprised if somebody had heard that. Yeah, we were actually going to stay in Italy we were only there for 6 months. He was stationed there, and it was supposed to be for a long period of time, but he got when my sister was born. That was actually the reason that we came back, because I don't think we should raise a baby over here, and it's like which was too bad, because I was young. I don't have a lot of memories of Italy, but the ones that I have, I really like. I really enjoy the memories that I do have, and being that I was 5 years old, if we stayed there for a period of time, I probably would have picked up Italian pretty easily. And speaking of that too, I think I missed somebody's question earlier. They were asking me about why I started to do Japanese. And it was for several reasons. Number one, it was to piss my father off, because he hates the Japanese. He was really racist, but against black people and against the Japanese and against a lot of people. But he really hated the Japanese, and I never quite understood it. He thought they were trying to conquer our country. Like, Dad, they're one of our closest allies. But he would, "No, they're not." It's like, You were in the Navy. You know they're one of our closest allies. No, they're not. They're trying to take over. They're trying to take over. Um, so in a way, I started to piss him off. The second reason is because I like anime and I like Japanese professional wrestling, and I would like to experience it in the actual language. So that's why I decided to do it. And I didn't think I would really get into it, but when I did, well, the first time I took a class, I dropped it, even though I was getting an A in the class. I was getting an A in the class, but I dropped it. And then it was because of the teacher. I didn't like her. And Evil Black Cat had her as a teacher too, Avande Sensei. And I just couldn't take a class with her. So I dropped the class and took it with a different teacher, who Hanoka Sensei, who I absolutely love. I still email her to this day, and I started liking the culture and learned a whole lot about it. So it was great. Veronica Liz, because of the war? No, it actually isn't because of the war. In the 1980s, a lot of Japanese companies were buying American companies, and well, but not as many as they people claim there were. So they made a lot of movies in the 80s. I think even about it was about they're making Japanese people businessmen bad guys in these movies. They'd always buy businesses and lay off at all workers and replace them with Japanese workers. So that's what my dad was convinced was happening. He was convinced that the Japanese were trying to buy every American company and replace all the workers with Japanese workers, which was, of course, not true. They bought some companies. When it really comes down to it, and you look about the amount of companies that they bought, it wasn't really that much. And most of them, they did not replace the workers. They kept the American workers. And in most cases, it increased. It was good for the company. The stocks went up. But he was convinced that because of those cheap movies that they made in the 80s about that the Japanese were trying to take over the country, and he hated them. And I remember when one of the last times I saw him, we were talking. Well, what are you gonna do if the Japanese take over America? And I was so tired of hearing that. I said, Dad, I would be happy because I think the Japanese have a great culture and are very interesting people. Ooh, he didn't say anything to me, but I could tell by the look on his face, he was pissed off. But I didn't care. I mean, because it's like you can only hear this conspiracy stuff that you don't. The conspiracy things that I think are nonsense. I can only hear so much about it, and then I'm like, I'll listen to you for a while. I'll let you talk about it, but it gets to a point where I'm sick of hearing about it. I'm just gonna say, stop talking about that. I'm really tired of hearing it. I think, Casey, I was wondering about the Japanese. I did like the Japanese stories. I should do some more Japanese stories too. They take a little bit longer because I get them from Japanese people, so I have to translate them. Which is, it's not hard to do, but I the Japanese language is so different than ours, and there's a lot of stuff that is you have to. There's a lot of stuff that is implied in Japan, and for example, for subjects of sentences, they leave the subject out of the sentence most of the time, and a lot of the words are implied, so you have to know what the person who's writing to you or what the person who's talking to you is implying. And that's where the translation can get difficult. Now when I translate journal articles, it's much different. Journal articles don't imply anything. They tell you everything straightforward. So it's much easier for me to do that. But if someone sends me an email in Japanese, I have to know what they're talking about, and that's not always easy because so many words are implied. And I'm not a native speaker. If I was a native speaker, I might be able to catch on to it more. But I do miss things, so I have to email back and forth and say, hey, did I get this right? And find a way to explain it to them. So I would like to do more of them because the few that I had, I think, have been really, really good. So, I mean, this dry mouth thing again, so I'm going to have a drink of Kool-Aid real quick. Yes, I still drink Kool-Aid. I'm addicted to it. Although I make it with NutraSweet, so there's no calories. When I'm like 89 years old and put in a home, I'm still going to insist on Kool-Aid. And by then, I'll be an old man in a home, so I can be crotchety about it. I want my Kool-Aid. No, give me my Kool-Aid right now. I'm 89 years old. I've worked all my life, and one thing I get when I want my Kool-Aid. Would you like to visit Japan? Oh, hell yeah. That's one of my dreams. I mean, I would like to visit Japan, but I would not want to go on a tour. I would want to go there myself and, not be part of a tour, just explore things on my own. I think that would be much more fun for me. Josh Young, what's going on? Hey, nice to see you. I'm glad that you're here. But yeah, it's America, how do people like that being racist, sexist, or any of that dumb shit? Uh, I got so many relatives, and I hate to say this, but a lot of my relatives are like that. Even my grandma, well, my grandma who still calls African Americans, she still calls them colored people. Whenever she, like for example, last time we saw her, we went to a restaurant, and the girl at the cash register was black, and afterwards she referred to her as that colored girl. And it's like, okay, grandma, it's like you really shouldn't say that anymore. But um she also thinks that she's not even that particularly religious, but she thinks that women shouldn't be preachers. And so it's like, come on, grandma, stop living like 200 years ago. Killer Kitty Cat, would you like to live in Australia? I would mind visiting Australia. I don't think I'd want to live there though. I'm not really enamored with it, So, uh, if someone gave me a trip to there, I would go see it. But I don't think I'd want to live there. I do have friends from there though, that subscribers there that talk to me, and it seems like it'd be a fun place to visit. And I'd love to see the countryside. I'm absolutely love to see because I know so much. There's so much country out there. Hey, that's an idea. Maybe I should look for Australian country stories because there's so much wilderness out there. I bet there's a lot of scary, scary, scary stories out there that have happened. So, oh yes, my Animal Crossing is set in the Southern Hemisphere, and I'll tell you why I did that. And I'm so freaking stupid. I have no problem saying that. I put it in the Southern Hemisphere because I had a mind lapse and thought that Japan was in the Southern Hemisphere. I know Japan is in the Northern Hemisphere. I'm a Japanophile, obviously. And I said it. Oh, God. I feel like such an idiot. But then I started doing stuff with my Animal Crossing town. And then I realized, you schmuck. You messed it up. Japan's in the Northern Hemisphere. So, but at that point, I'd had done so much with my town already that I didn't really want to change anything and start all over again. So I'm in the Southern Hemisphere. So right now, my Animal Crossing town, it's summertime. Phantom of Darkness. Is there anything you miss about your dad? Whew, that's a hard question. Um, no. I have tried to think of good memories, but there just really aren't any. He's never done anything nice to me. He would mock me, he made fun of me, he would call me names. Uh, when I was 10 years old, we, my sister and brother, their birthdays were close together, so a lot of times they shared a birthday party. So we drove out into the city part of Virginia Beach and to Showbiz Pizza, which is kind of like Chuck E. Cheese, and we were driving home, and other kids in the back seat that we had taken were like roughhousing, And I wasn't doing anything. I was just sitting there in the car. 'Cause I didn't really roughhouse in the car. And he stopped the car and assumed that I was the one who was causing the problems. So, in the downtown city area of Virginia Beach, he kicked his 10-year-old son out of the car and drove off. The man should have gone to jail for that. It took my brother to yell at him and convince him to come back and get me. And he was drunk when it happened. That's why he did it. And he would deny it until the day that he died. But, I can't miss a guy who does that sort of stuff to me. I can't think of anything nice that he's ever done for me at all. So, I really hate to say that. But I don't consider him my dad anyways. I've always considered my stepdad my dad. Now, keep in mind that me and my stepdad had a huge falling out like 7 years ago, and we had a huge freaking fight and didn't speak to each other for 5 years. But fortunately, we've gotten over that, and we're talking and being fine again. But it's. I really wish I could think of a good thing. I mean, once he threw a baseball into my stomach, and then got mad at me for crying. I was 11 when that happened. But it was yeah. Well, okay. When I was 8 years old or 9 years old, um, we were at a Chuck E. Cheese, and they had the tic tac toe game that you might see at a carnival, where you throw wiffle balls into it and you try to get tic tac toe. I was playing that game, and at 8 or 9 years old, on the very first try, I got tic tac toe in the middle, which gets you the grand prize. And the grand prize was this stuffed green parrot, which, I loved parrots at the time. And so I got the stuffed animal when I was 8 or something, and I really liked it. I named him Perry because he's a parrot. So creative, I know. And absolutely adored that stuffed animal for years. For years. And when I was 12 or 13 years old, is when we lived out in the country. I was in the basement, and at the basement door, my brother ran down to the basement, and he was holding that parrot in his hand and a lighter in his other hand, telling me he was going to burn my parrot. So he took my parrot and he ran out to this trash can and set the parrot on fire and burned it into ashes. And of course, I was like crying my eyes out. And my dad told him to do it. And when I was crying, he was yelling, "Oh, stop crying, you big baby!" Da, 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 da. So Evil Black Cat, who was like, at the time, this time she was, if I was 12 or 13, I think I was 12, so she would have been 7. Started crying too. And here I am. My favorite thing in the world was that stuffed parrot, and he's comforting Evil Black Cat while being mean to me about it. And see, Evil Black Cat had the same parrot, and he's like, "Oh, I'll never burn your parrot. I'll never burn your parrot." So, well, yeah, but okay, I'm telling these stories, so um, I'm gonna tell one more dad story. That'll be it. And don't worry about bringing it up, Pod. It's Phantom of Darkness. It's fine. But I will tell one more story that kind of puts an ending on this that I've always enjoyed. Now, even though my mom always paid child support, she was never late on her child support. And of course, the child support didn't go to us. It went to my dad buying beer and cigarettes whenever he got it. And she always paid her child support, but he would never let us see her. even though she had visitation rights. And there was one time when he finally, because our stepmother did not like us at all, which is fine. It was she was a bitch, and if I ever see her, I tell you right now, if I ever see the woman again, because she's just as bad as he was, if not worse. If I ever see my stepmother again, I will punch her. I'm sorry, I will punch the woman and hopefully break something because she's just as bad as him. She would threaten my brother with a hammer. Of course, my brother wasn't scared of her. My brother slapped her in the face. She was threatening him with a hammer. He took her and slapped her in the face. My brother was big, mean, and scary. He wasn't mean to us, really, but my brother was the barrier between my dad and my stepmom and me and Evil Black Cat. Think if my brother was not there during those time periods, things would have been worse. But my dad was scared of my brother. And because my brother was bigger than him, and my brother was freaking crazy. So he was the barrier. And if he wasn't there, I don't even imagine what things would be like. But yeah, he wasn't scared of anybody, and my brother's entire 45 he blah blah blah. My lips are going over. My brother's entire life, he was never scared of anybody, and protected us a lot. Even though he kind of like picked on us every now and then, brothers do that, but he protected us. And one summer, and this would have been the summer when I was 15 years old, we finally got to visit our mom. And we visited her for the summer. Oh, it was great. I loved it so much. It was like one of the best summers of my life. We actually had food all the time. It was fun. Me and my brother played video games and stuff. It was nice. And I had a great time there. And I was probably there for 2 months. And then I moved. Then we came back with my dad to go back to school. So we went to school, and I was talking to my mom on the phone, and she asked us if we wanted to come up and visit for Christmas. I thought, well, I'll have to ask Dad about it and stuff, and I sat there and I thought about it for a second. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't have to ask Dad about anything. So I said, Mom, me and Christina are coming up for Christmas. And I hung up the phone after we were done talking. So Christina runs into the she's like 10 years old at the time. She runs into the living room. We're gonna see Mom for Christmas. We're gonna see Mom for Christmas. Jake told her that we're gonna come see her for Christmas. My dad gets pissed off. So when I walk and keep in mind at this point, I'm bigger than my dad at this point. 15 years old, bigger, and he's like, get in here. So I get in there, and he said, you're going to call her back, and you're not going to see her for Christmas. And I just had it at that point. I had it with all the abuse. I had it for everything. I had it for him just being an unfair jackass and stuff. And I said, and he got up. I said, shut up and sit down. And he did. I said, we're going to see my mom for Christmas. We've been with you for the past 5 Christmases. Of course, they weren't great Christmases, especially the time that you made us go out and buy our own Christmas presents. I said, we're going there, and you're not going to stop us. The man shut his mouth. Did not say a word. And I got to tell you, it was the most cathartic experience of my entire life. It was, that was 15 years. 15 years of the stuff that I told you is not the worst stuff. There was much worse stuff that happened, but 15 years of dealing with it and 15 years of being treated like crap, I was done with it. Well, and also that was after what happened with my friend Matthew, and after what happened with my friend Matthew, when of course I ran away for a week, and my dad did not even seem to notice that I was gone. I don't know. I came back and he thought I was visiting relatives or something. I had ran away from home and he didn't even know it. So this happened after that. Because me and Matthew were friends that fall. So being with Matthew, he gave me, even though I didn't know him very long, and he died so young, he gave me a lot of strength to stand up for myself. And if I didn't know him at the time, I don't know if I would have done that or not. But what happened was, it just all came out, and it felt so good. And we left. We went to go see my mom for Christmas. And at that year, while we were up there with our mom, we decided we were done living with my dad. I was old enough. Evil Black Cat wasn't, but I was old enough at the time that I could choose which parent I wanted to live with. I think the age was 13, and I decided I was going to go up and live with my mom, and Evil Black Cat was going to come too. And we made that decision, and we were going to tell him. But then he called us, and he called us, and he told us that our stepmom left him, and that he lost his truck and he was losing his home. So we couldn't live there anymore. That we'd have to come and live with our mom. It was really, really weird. It's like, okay, so we didn't even have to tell him that we'd made that decision. But here's what happened. It was a lie. His wife didn't leave him. What happened was, she made him make a choice because she didn't want us around anymore. So she said, "You got to choose between me and your kids." He chose her, and lied to tell us that she ran off. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't care. I really don't care. And I don't care what the content was. I'd never choose him. I would never choose him over anything. I saw him for a couple of weeks when I was 22 years old, and he hadn't changed at all. He was the exact same person. I remember when he got mad at me when I was there and got up in my face, and I thought, holy crap, this moment is here. This is the moment I thought was coming all of my life. My dad's trying to threaten me physically. If I would have punched that man, he would have fallen into pieces. I mean, his body was destroyed by decades of alcohol and cigarettes being like his entire life. Plus, I was bigger than him, stronger than him, and stuff. And I just stood up there, looking at him, and finally, I just turned and left. And that was the last time I ever saw him. I turned and left, and said to myself, "What was I going to do here? Was I going to punch this man like I wanted to do my entire life? Or why was I going to be the person that I am, who doesn't believe that violence is an answer to anything?" And I was the bigger man, and I walked away, and I never saw him again. And he died. He died last year. I remember Evil Black, and this is all I can tell you. She told me that he died, and I was like, "Oh, okay." It meant nothing to me. I didn't feel good. I didn't feel bad. I felt absolutely nothing. So it's when a person means nothing to you, because you obviously mean nothing to them, you can't feel bad when they're gone. We have been talking for almost 3 hours now. I didn't think I would do that. I was going to think maybe about 2 hours and stuff, and I may have to go soon because my mouth is very dry. But I'll talk a little bit more. Come here, Cat. KFC. Have you ever played the Evil Dead PlayStation video games? They are so much fun. Played them 10 years ago. Fistful of Boomstick is one of my favorite games. I think a lot of people consider Fistful of Boomstick the sequel to the Army of Darkness. And I got a PlayStation 2. My old PlayStation 2 ran out after years and years and years. But not this past Christmas, but the Christmas before, Evil Black Cat bought me a new PlayStation 2. So, well, it wasn't new, but And I did play my Fistful of Boomstick, which is such a fun game. A glass of water, thank you. Yeah, I do drink water or the Kool-Aid while I'm talking to you guys, but I don't do it often because, once I get started talking, I get started talking. I made some Kool-Aid ice I'm going to put in my next drink. I like making ice out of the drink that you put it in. Like if I get like a 2 liter of Pib. Big Kev, Jake, would you like a PS3? I do have a PS3. Why, do you have extras? But no, I have one. It's actually, to tell you the truth, I bought a PS3 with my very first YouTube check. The very like the first 2 months I was on YouTube, I didn't know you made money off the advertisements, so I didn't have advertisements on my. And someone sent me an email, and they're like, "So how much money do you make off YouTube?" I'm like, "None." And she's like, "Why?" I said, "Because YouTube doesn't pay you." She's like, "Yeah, it does, but I didn't know it." And I looked it up. I'm like, 2 months there. Live and inspire forever. Thank you for your narrations and stories. They have got me through some tough times. One of my favorites, KOC. Thank you very much. That is wonderful and sweet. And I'd give you a big hug if you were here. I appreciate that so much. That means a whole lot. And the cats appreciate it too, even though they don't know, because the donations mainly go to get things for our kitties, because we have a big army. And I'm glad that my stories can help you. And if you ever need anything, any news stories or certain kinds of stories, let me know, and I'll see what I can do. Thanks so much. Yeah, I do appreciate it, Kev, but it's yeah, somebody else probably needs it more than I, since I have one. I'm pretty sure that ours is fine. We haven't used it in a while, but we have at this point in time I have a PS1, not a PlayStation, not the original PlayStation. I have a PS1, PS2, PS3. We don't have a 4 or a 5. We have a GameCube. A GameCube. I lost what controller? The PS. No, I didn't. No, I didn't lose the PS3 controllers. Right here. We have a Wii, a GameCube, two 3DSs, a Switch Lite, and probably other things I probably don't know. I have a Famicom in my storage area that plays all original PlayStation or no, original Nintendo games. I like playing a lot of the original Nintendo games. Every time I asked you for it, you said you didn't know where it was. Well, I just didn't want to go looking for it. It's in a box. I know where exactly what it is. I just probably didn't feel like going through the box. You have a controller anyways. What do you care? You got a controller for Christmas. Be happy. Oh, let's see. A lot of people talking here. I'll be getting a PS5 within the next 6 months. I'm fighting whether to part ways with my PS4. I'm attached to it. We didn't get a PS4, unfortunately. Um, I would I would love to have like a PS5. We're happy with the Switches because at least we're up to date. But there's only so much you can get on that. They'll have Final Fantasy games, which I like to play, and it would be nice to just be caught up with people technology wise. Oh, I see you there, Claire. Listen till I fall asleep. If you do fall asleep, have a good night, and have a good work tomorrow. Who the fuck have been? I've been battling insomnia as late, and your videos have been helping me sleep. I'm glad I can help. Very glad I can help. Well, see, you asked for the controller for Christmas, so aren't you glad that I told you I couldn't find the controller? Because that made you ask for one, and now you have your own controller. Now, sorry, there was a lot of questions that popped up there, so I'm trying to go back through. Dan Rouser asked me, have you played any of the Dragon Quest games? Absolutely. In fact, now that you mentioned it, I want to play one of them. I have not played them all. I don't think I played the most recent one, but Dragon Quest 1, of course, I got it on the the Nintendo Entertainment System, so it was Dragon Warrior. But on Dragon Quest 1, 2, 3, and 4, I don't think I played 5. I know I played 6. Uh, I played the one that was on the PlayStation. I think it was 8. And then the one that was on the 3DS, where I think that was 9. That may be the latest one I played, but I love the Dragon Quest games. They were the very first RPGs I played, and I like them more even than the Final Fantasy games, even though I like Final Fantasy. Veronica Liz, how many cats do you have? We have 7 cats, although it'll probably be 6 lately because we are going to rehome one of them to a friend of ours who lived here and knows her, so it's not like she'll be going somewhere where she wouldn't be loved and wouldn't be comfortable. She just kind of doesn't really mesh with all the other cats, and I think she'll be happy there because it was my former roommate, and he always liked her, and she always liked him, and we think it'll be better for him. Do you have Final Fantasy VIII and Final Fantasy IX for the PS1? I got the greatest hits copies, both you can have if you want. I do have them both, yeah. I have set on the PS 2. I have, or the PS1. I have Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9. I have 10 for the PlayStation 2, and I have 12 for the PlayStation 2. So I don't have any of the ones for PlayStation 3. I think there was 1 or 2. I don't have Final Fantasy 13 and stuff. How about Doom? Isn't it a first-person shooter? If it's not, I probably wouldn't play it. I've never really been into those. But let's see. I love the Elder Scrolls games. I haven't played those. Oh, Dragon Quest 11. Well, how is it? Let me know what system is it on. I'm very curious about that. But I'm glad they still make the Dragon Quest games. I mean, I know Final Fantasy had gotten so popular as an RPG, but they kind of moved away from really being an RPG. And I didn't like Final Fantasy 12 at all. I didn't like the fighting system. It was way too much of a change from the old system, and I just couldn't get into it. So, and a lot of people were like, "You didn't like Final Fantasy 12?" It said, you think of years and years of playing with the battle system that I'm used to, and they change it like that. It was too jarring for me, and I just couldn't get into it. I don't know, but I got my badges from KOC. I think I missed something there, but that's fine. I have Final Fantasy 9 guidebook. I have the 8 guidebook, and I tell you, that's really always like a Final Fantasy 8 is always like, I play this maybe once a year. With Squall and everybody, I enjoy that one a whole lot. I would like to play the Final Fantasy 7 remake because I didn't play Final Fantasy 7 when it came out. I played it many years later. Everyone talking about how good it was, how great it was, and I really didn't think it was that great when I eventually played it. So maybe I would enjoy the remake. I thought it was anticlimactic. I don't know, but I mean, if I would have played it, I guess when it came out, maybe I'd see differently. But Final Fantasy 6, now that's probably in my opinion the best game. That's the first one where you get summoning magic and all that stuff, but Final Fantasy 6 I really really enjoy. Mostly lately, I've been doing certain things I've been doing. Oh, it's for the Switch. Well, I hope it'll play on the Switch Lite, because if it is, I'd like to get that. Some of the games I know don't play on the Switch Lite. Like for my birthday last year, my mom got me Super Mario Party, and I can't play it on the Switch Lite. So we had to whenever we play it, we had to play it on my sister's Switch. Now I got the Lite on a whim, because when the whole pandemic shutdown started, they said they weren't going to be making them anymore until the pandemic was over or something. I don't remember. Evil Black Cat explained it to me. And we went and we were at Walmart, and there it was. And it was $200. And I'm like, should we do this? Should we do this? Should we do this? And we decided to go ahead and do it. So the Final Fantasy remake was great, but being broken into 3 parts, having such a long wait between releases sucks. Yeah, that's horrible. Chrissy, I gotta head out to be at work by midnight. Thank you, Casey, for the live chat, and hope everyone has a good rest of your night. Well, thank you for showing up, and I'm glad that you're here. And Kevin, I didn't know the game was broken up like that. That would have annoyed me too. Can you play Mrs. Pac-Man or Army games on the PS5? I'm guessing you might be asking somebody else who has a PS5. Kevin, probably. God, I feel like I'm always so behind in the technology. Why? When it's I don't know. I'm gonna be one of those people, even when I'm like 80, 90 years old. When I'm in my home, telling people to bring me Kool-Aid. I'm also going to be telling them to bring in my video games, because if I can still play them when I'm a senior citizen, I'm going to still play them when I'm a senior citizen. Because we're poor, yeah. That's probably exactly why. But we'll get over it eventually. But so this has been a Crash Bandicoot. Haven't played that one, but we got a few games here, and this has been really fun. I probably should end here soon because it's been going on for a long time. But it's been such a good night. Well, I'm starting to get a little tired myself, but we'll talk for a little bit longer. Cassie, favorite song at the moment? That's a good one. I don't know. Let me pause and I'll get back to you on that in a second. I'll answer what Veronica talked. Why do you think about being in a home? I don't. It's just a joke that I make a lot when I tell people that there are things that old people generally don't do that I do. If I like them a lot, I always say, "Hey, I'll still be enjoying this when I'm old and in a home." I don't really ever think about actually being in a home, and I hope that I never will. I'd like to be able to take care of myself and exercise and keep in shape, so I will. But it's just something I've always said. Even when I was like 10 years old, I'd always say, when I'm old and at home, I'll still be doing this. So the first remake releases up to just before you go to the first world map, the Midgar of the game. No, I wouldn't like it if you don't get your video game. If you don't get your video game right away, so you can play it from beginning to end, you have to wait for them to give you new parts of it. I would not enjoy that. I would just wait until all the parts were out before I'd play it. I'm glad you have a beautiful mama, KOC. Well, thank you very much. I'm sure that she listened to my my stream. She'd appreciate that too. But my guess is she's probably playing World of Warcraft right now. My mom just recently retired, and she has a much different life than she used to. It used to be when I go visit her, she would work early in the morning, so she'd go to sleep around 8, 9 o'clock, get up at 4. But of course now she stays up until midnight, gets up around 7. She'll play World of Warcraft until she decides she's ready to go to bed. That she plays it a whole lot, and that's one of the main reasons I started playing it. Because if you want to do something with your mom, and you don't know what to do, then you find out there's a video game that your mom likes, and you can play it with her. That's the way to go. That's when you know you got a cool mom, because you don't feel like you're doing mom stuff. You're doing a video game. Which is pretty awesome, I think. Now, what I'm going to do is get this video together for tomorrow. Again, it'll probably be in the evening. I won't do a whole lot tonight. I don't really know what my schedule is going to be like, because at the moment, my sleeping is really messed up, because I slept all the time after I got back from the hospital. So I was up at 11. So I was up all night, and then I slept, and I got up around 4 o'clock. So obviously I'm not going to bed anytime soon. I will probably play some games and work on a video so we can get that out tomorrow. Would WoW's a dangerous game. Yep, I know. You told me that Kev. I tried to get Kevin to come back and play WoW with us, but he said he won't do it because it's addictive, and it can be addictive. He spent 40 hours a week at work and 40 hours a week in WoW for about 5 or 6 year span. What I do a lot, what I do a lot in WoW is that I'll queue for dungeons and stuff, and then I'll minimize it, and I'll work on a video. I'll work on editing a story that someone sent me, because all my stories are changed usually, unless the writing is really good. I'll change some of the stuff. I won't change the facts, but I'll change the word isn't coming to me, but I'll change the way it's written to put it in my own voice so it's easier for me to read it. And I'll go. Well, I'll be writing and writing, and then the little thing will come up on the screen. Enter dungeon. I'm like, okay, 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 and I'll go in there and do that. And then once I'm done, I'll enter again, shrink it, and play it again. So my grandfather died of cancer, but he was happy. Well, I'm very sorry that he died, Raging Cherry. Hope hope you're all right about it. But like you said, if he was happy, that's the best thing in the world. If you could die a happy person, I don't think there's anything better in the world you could imagine. I will have to be able to admit to you guys that this wasn't a problem for me when I was younger, but over the past few years, I have developed more fear for death that I hadn't had before, and I'm not an atheist, but the possibility of dying and just suddenly not existing at all anymore, oblivion basically, has kind of really been freaking me out lately. It's not what I believe. It's not what I believe, but it has lots of things I don't believe scare me. So that's been one of the things that scare me. Do you like the Bee Gees? I love them. They taught me to sing. I have several of their songs on my workout list. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan, but several of their songs are on my workout list. I'm glad that you have a good mama. That at least partly makes up for the other crappy parent I know from experience. You know, when we moved up here to live with up here up to Illinois to live with our mom, things got considerably better, and I appreciate. It was like going from a completely different world to to a completely other different world. So yeah, she did a lot better for us stuff. So, uh, for that I've always appreciated her, and it's always been good. You know, she sometimes did a little bit too good for us and got herself into problems, like when she brought my brother a new car, and he guilted her into buying a brand new car when he was, what, 16, 17 years old. She shouldn't have done that because he screwed the car up and eventually got ruined, and she had to file for bankruptcy. But, uh, no, she's good. She's good, and we had a lot of fun. And when I got up, when I was 16 and stuff, and I got a job, my first couple of jobs. My first job was I was a host at a restaurant in Lake Forest, Illinois, called Egg Harbor, and I was a host there for a while, and then I quit that. And my second job, I worked at Great America for a year, and quit that for a while. Once, when I graduated high school, rather than going to college, I got a job working at the Piggly Wiggly that my mom worked at, and bounced between a couple of little jobs here and there. After I turned 19 and moved out, I worked in a Cousin Subs in Racine, Wisconsin, and that's one of the things I want to tell you about too. I meant to tell you about this earlier when we were talking about ghosts, but when I was 19 years old, I moved to I moved to Racine, Wisconsin with a friend, and for one day I worked in a factory, but I had to stand in one place, and standing in one place for like 8 hours. Nope, sorry, I don't care how much money you're paying for paying. I'm not going to do it. So I went ahead and I quit that job and got a job in a Cousin Subs restaurant. Now, I gotta admit, I really did like that job. And there were some interesting things about it. It was only busy during their dinner and lunch. And it was after 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. We left at 5 p.m. There was almost nobody there. So the I would go out and I would clean the dining room during that time period. And one of the very first times when I was there cleaning the dining room, I heard someone whisper in my ear, "Jake." I turned around. Well, there was nobody. I mean, because everybody else was in the back. I was working the register and cleaning the dining room because, again, there were no customers. So I heard someone whisper my name in my ear, and I was like, what the hell? And I thought, okay, I'll just ignore it. Probably was my imagination. So I kept on going and cleaning. And then again, Jake. And by now I'm a little freaked out. Like each time I turn around and see if somebody is in the store playing a trick on me, but there's nobody there. There's nobody at the counter. There's nobody anywhere in the dining room or the counter area. So I get a little freaked out, and I walk back to the office where the manager was, and I said, "You're going to think I'm crazy, but the weirdest thing just happened." And she's like, "Oh, let me guess. You heard someone whispering your name in your ear?" And I'm like, "Yeah, how did you know?" She's like, "That happens to everybody. If you go out and you're out in the dining room by yourself and no one's around, you'll hear someone whisper your name in your ear." So that's something that if I didn't hear that from her right now, I would look back and say it was a partial seizure. Because I hear things like that nowadays too. If I forget to take my meds, I could have a little partial seizure and I hear someone whisper my name or something. But I didn't tell her that. She told me that. So, segue for good night, Kevin. Hope you have a great night. I'm glad that you showed up here, and hope to talk to you soon. Hope you're doing okay, so we haven't seen you a whole lot. And Tits Panda, I noticed that you'd mentioned working at Great America too. I just didn't interrupt the story because I wanted to finish it. But as I said, I worked in an ice cream parlor, and I particularly did not like it. But I did like the fact that we got free admission. That part was pretty awesome. But yeah, that's the only thing that I can't. That is the only thing. Oh, I love you too, Kevin. I can't forget that. That was the only thing. Is I did not. Nighty night. I didn't. She told me what I heard before I told her. And that's how the story has credibility with me. And if people know me already, then they know how skeptical I am. So they know that I wouldn't just be making something like that up to trick people. So, Fluffy Kitten, my brother has a seizure disorder. I'm sorry to hear that. As somebody who has that too, it could be really rough sometimes. I've had 3 full seizures in my life. The very first one happened at my grandma's house. My sister and my mom. I was upstairs at my grandma's house, and they heard a loud bang, falling down or something. They came up and saw me convulsing. But yes, I'm getting distracted, but distracted about it. But yeah, it continued. I mean, I worked at that submarine sandwich shop for 9 months, and that was something that happened over and over again. So, now unfortunately, the building does not exist anymore. It was a single building. You know, like a lot of restaurants are built into mini malls. It was a standalone building. The very last time I was in Racine, I went there to the mall, and I went to the area where the sub place was, but it's torn down now. So, and I have no idea why. Maybe it was because it was so slow. But you could think about that. Wouldn't they just, rather than tear the building down, maybe sell it to another restaurant to put in there? But the whole building was demolished. It's just grass there now. Or maybe it was so spooky that they had to tear it down. Ooh. I really highly doubt they would tear down a sub place because it was haunted and someone whispered in your ear. If they did, that'd be kind of lame of them, though. So, and I'll check out your Caleb. I'll check out your channel after I'm done with the stream. I it the I went ahead and approved your message when they someone asks for subscribing. The chat blocks it, but I'm completely fine with people coming here and asking for people to sub. So that's completely cool. You can do that, and if anybody wants to check out the channel, I'll definitely do it too once this is over. My cat Jaws says hi. That's an awesome name. I'd say one of my cats is Cujo, and it was when it was my brother's cats. He'd left dropped them off here, and they became our cats. And see, I never get to name animals. You know, um, all the cats that we have, my sister named, and except for Ash, my ex named Ash. But I never get to name cats. So I thought, well, you guys named these cats. I get to name her because originally we called her Snotface because she was very sick when she was a kitten, and her eyes would all have mucus in them, and they would get shut, and we had to clean her eyes and stuff. So for a while, we just called her Snotface. And then after a while, and we didn't give her a name and stuff, so I decided to go ahead and name her something very ironic. Because she was very, very cute. Cujo's adorable. She's one of the most. And if you guys have seen pictures of her, you have because I had her in my videos. She's one of the most adorable things in the world. So I named her Cujo ironically, because what I wanted to do is I wanted to change the meaning of the word. And so whenever one of us calls her Cujo, or we hear the word Cujo, we don't think of the dog. We think of this cute kitty. And it worked, I say, hey, Cujo. It's just, she's just the most adorable little thing with the name of one of the most vicious animals. So when I saw the naming of the cat, or naming the animal Jaws, I like that. So we have Cujo and Jaws. And I've had a lot of ferrets, and I usually give them names of Buffy the Vampire Slayer characters. I've had Angel, Spike, Willow. I had one ferret that I named it Faith, and I had to take her back to the store. She was mean. I was like, or she didn't like me or something. So I traded her. I traded her in. I mean, I'm not gonna have an animal in my house that doesn't like me. Because if she doesn't like me, she'll like somebody else maybe, and I would like her to have a happy life. Ferrets don't have a long life, 3 to 6 years. So if she doesn't like me, let's give her back to the store and let somebody else buy her, and hopefully she'll like them, and she can have a happy life. Well, our animals right now are. I'll try to do them in order of age if I can. Drusilla, Rukia, Ichigo, Konohamaru, Cujo, Yuchiru, and Ash. Oh, well, then there's Buffy. I don't know if Buffy is as old as Drew or not. It's But Drew right now, Drusilla, when we had to put Althea down, Drusilla became the senior cat. And we like to tease her about that. I have a ton of pets. Us too. We like them a whole lot. Can't have any more. We have way too many. But we have, fortunately, they're fun to be around, and they act as a pillow for my sister. They'll gang up on her and lay down on her, which is always really fun. But anyhow, everybody, it's getting a little bit late, so I think I might have to stop here for a while. I don't really want to because I'm enjoying talking, but I'm kind of getting hungry, and my mouth is kind of dry. I've been drinking Kool-Aid to get it on, but I'm kind of hungry and might want to fix something to eat and relax for a bit and work on my next video. So, what I'm going to say is thank you, everybody, for coming here. I'm really happy that everyone showed up. A lot of people showed up. I want to re-thank everybody who donated to the channel. Thank you very much for doing that. It means a whole lot to me. And it means a lot to Evil Black Cat. And it means a lot to our pets, even though they don't know it. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for listening to my stories and my life stories. I think that made the chat pretty good. I'll tell you some more stuff about my life in the next stream. I'll probably do the next stream on Saturday. I've always been trying to make it a regular thing, and I haven't been able to be successful at that. But I really, really, really had a good time tonight. Everyone's telling me goodbye, and, well, I can't probably not respond to everybody, but love each and every one of you. Thank you for showing up. Nobody on YouTube has better fans, better viewers, better subscribers than I do. And I love you all and hope you have a great night tonight. You all be good. Good night, everybody.